have short-term goals, long-term goals. They're modified every year depending on how much you've accomplished or what trials and tribulations have happened throughout the year. This year has been a rough year for a lot of producers as far as production, so it might not have been a great year for some goals. If you're a cattle farmer, it might have been a great year for some goals. It just depends. So what is a business plan? Your business plan consists of 4 sections. The first section is a business description. This is a really basic section. This is really talking about what your business is, what your goals are, what your history is, and who's involved in the business. The second section is really the second section is really the meat of your business plan. This is your marketing section. This really talks through who your customers are, what your products are, how you're getting your products to your customers, how you sell your products, what you're pricing your products at, how you're telling your customers about your products, all of the different things to get your products from your farm to your customers, whoever your customers may be, whether they're consumers, directly to the consumer, or they're wholesale markets or distributors. The next part is management operations. This is who the owners are, what are their qualifications, what are they doing. It is also a description of your farm and what you have on your farm as far as buildings and land and equipment, and then production practices. And then the last part is your financial plan. This is often one of the hardest sections to complete because it really looks at your financials, a profit and loss statement, cash flow, balance sheet, as well as pro forma financials, which is looking forward into the future and making some projections. So we're going to go through all of these fairly quickly. This presentation will be available. Jody does have it, so it will be available through when they make all the presentations available from the conference. If you do have questions, again, please ask them. If you would like more information on all of this, please see us at our table. So your business description, kind of talked through this already. These are the basic sections within this big section. The biggest part of this business description are your goals. Your goals are super important because they dictate the rest of the business plan. Without your goals, we can't determine the marketing. Without your goals, we can't determine the financials. If you don't have any goals for selling product, we can't determine your pro formas. We don't know how much sales you're going to have. You hope to have in the next 3 to 5 years. We don't know what your sales are going to be in the next 2 years. And they need to be SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, relative, and timely. Which means you can't just say, I want to sell 10 cows. Great. When? To who? How? Where? All of those questions have to be answered with those goals. So it's really important to be as specific as possible when creating goals. So some examples of goals. These are based on vegetable farms. So for short-term goals, Kelly's Vegetable Farm will increase CSA sales by 30% by 2027 by adding a drop-off location. It is specific, it is timely, she can state in there. It is measurable, so 30%, she can see 30% increase by where she is now by 2027. And it's relative to what she's doing. The next one, Kelly's Vegetable Farm will add a wholesale buyer and have at least $5,000 of wholesale volume in 2025. A long-term goal. So those are short-term, so those are in the next 2 years. Long-term goals are beyond, and this was made before, but long-term goals are Kelly's Vegetable Farm will increase production capacity by 25% by 2027. And we can push that out and do by 2029. So those are long-term goals. Any questions on goals? The marketing plan. As I mentioned, this is kind of the meat of the business plan. This is the biggest section. It is sometimes the easiest to complete. It is sometimes the hardest to complete. Who here likes to brag on themselves? Likes to toot their own horn? I got one. Unnominated, but one. Okay. So this is kind of what that is. It section that really talks about what you do, why you do it, and who wants to buy your product, and what your product is. So the first part is the market research and analysis. So it's the trends, the market, and really looking at what is happening on a national level, and then what's happening, if you're in Kentucky, what's happening in Kentucky on a local level. So this is part of the business plan, is something that we work with you on. If you're working with a K-Card staffer, this is something that we work directly with you on. We will pull all the information. We have sources upon sources upon sources of information. But it's looking at educational document. It is looking at USDA statistical data. It is looking at food and grocery data. It is looking at all kinds of data and pulling it into analytics and pulling it into an analysis and identifying the trends. So over the past 20 years, there has been a trend trending upwards for local food. Over the last 5 years, there has been a small trend for organic. Over the last 2 years, there has been a smaller trend for organic grain. Over the last year, that smaller trend for organic grain has grown in Kentucky. So we look at all of those trends, and those are then identified in the business plan in this section. So it's really kind of backing up why you do what you do and why it's important. The next part is your customers, and this is really important because this is going to talk through this is going to help you determine how you sell your product in the next few sections. So this is identifying your existing customer base if you have some. If you're new and you don't have an existing customer base, it's identifying your customers. So if you're growing herbs and you want to sell to tea companies and you want to sell to tea enthusiasts, where are those people? What are they like? What do they want? Where do you find them? Are they your average person walking down the street? Or are they the ones going to different coffee houses? Are they the ones going to craft fairs? Are they the ones going to more high-end markets? Or are they the ones going somewhere else? Are they looking more online? Where are they? What are they looking for? This also looks at wholesale customers. If you're looking for wholesale customers, where are they? Are you looking to sell to restaurants? Are you looking to sell to distributors? Are you looking to sell to schools? If you're looking to sell to schools, are you going directly to the school? Are you working with the food service director or the certified nutrition program director? Are you working with a distributor who then works with the school? What does that look like? What does that relationship look like? And then also know your customers. What do they value? What do they want? What helps them make that decision to buy your product? The next part, and this is the easiest part of this section, I will say, is your products and services. This is what you do. What you are raising, what you are growing, what you are producing, what you are processing. The key features of the products, the pricing list, the literal list of what you have. And then the benefits. So, for example, if you raise pastured poultry, what is the benefit of pastured poultry versus buying poultry chicken from the grocery store, from just mass-produced chicken? It's healthier, it tastes better, and it's better quality. People know where it comes from. They know the farmer. They have that relationship. That's important because that is a benefit to your product versus something they can get in the grocery store. The next two sections are a little bit more challenging. And I say that because it is often ones that I have the most conversations on. The first section is your key competitors. And these are neighbors, similar farms, friends, anybody that has products similar to yours. And I say that with the utmost respect, but if you and your neighbor are both raising cattle the same way and processing them and selling at farmers market together, while they can be the best person in the whole wide world, If you all are not in partnership on the same farm, they are your competitor. And I know that's not a great feeling, because competitor, you think, oh yeah, we're going to battle it out. It's a battle royale. It's not. It's not really what it is. It just means that you all are sharing space in the marketplace together. That's ultimately what this is. It's who is sharing the same table with you for the marketplace. Who is sitting at your table with the same product that customers have to choose from. If you were to lay out all the products of the exact same or similar at the table, and customers had to go through and pick one, would your neighbor be at the table with you? So it's just kind of describing what they have, what their benefits are. It doesn't go any farther than that. We don't look any farther than that. It's just to make sure that those people are in the room and that we know that they exist. Because sometimes it might be that there are 10 people within a 30-mile radius of you raising the same thing. And it might be, well, if you all raise this one product, but you also raise these 3 other things, maybe you need to focus on these 3 other things that nobody else is doing, because this one thing is saturated, oversaturated in the marketplace already. So that kind of helps us look at some of that. The next part, remember when I asked who likes the tooth around more? That's this next part, the market positioning. So what is your value proposition? What makes you, you, and why should someone buy from you versus them? So my favorite thing to ask is, if I were to come up to you in a farmer's market, or come up to you in an elevator and ask you what you do, or ask you what is that in your bag, give me your elevator speech. Give me the 30-second, 20-second speech right now. Tell me what it is. And that's what we break down. Because that is your passion. That is what you are most passionate about. That is what you want your reputation to be in the marketplace. Any questions so far? The next part is pricing. This is looking at your pricing strategies. So what you already have your pricing at. So some considerations for pricing is the cost of production, your customer's willingness and ability to pay for something. One thing you don't want to do is price your customers out of the market if you already know where your customers are at. Unless you are trying to change markets, you don't want to price them out. So if you are set on selling into the Frankfurt market, you might not want to charge Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati prices, which you can charge more, but people in Frankfurt might not be willing to pay that. But you can go to Lexington and do that. And it's okay to do that. Just keep that in mind. And then think about your competition. What are they charging? It's not always who can charge less. You need to charge enough to cover your cost and cover your profit, and make enough to make your profit. Yes, ma'am?
I was just going to say, one of the key things that when I'm talking to farmers about that is really understanding what your cost to do business is. And that means you're tracking your expenses.
Yes.
The cost of your seeds, the cost of your labor, include yourself, and your labor, especially if you're working it, and really being able to competitively price your product based upon what it's actually costing you to do business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that we go over too. And I just gave the same speech about flowers not too long ago. Is what is your cost to do business? What is your cost to produce your product? When we do financials and we work through that, and we're going to go over that here in just a little bit, is your cost of goods sold. So what does it cost you to produce your product before all of your operating expenses? And then what does it cost you at the end of the day? What is your net income? If at the end of the day, after all of your operating expenses, so your operating expenses is what does it cost you to operate your business? So your phone, your marketing, your square fees, all of your other insurance, all of the other expenses, farmers market fees, all of that. What does it cost you to operate your business at the end of the day? We work through some pricing strategies with this. Sometimes wholesale pricing, retail pricing, USVary, we kind of go through all of that within this section as well. I could give a whole speech on pricing, so I'm going to skip through. Distribution. This is how you get your product from your farm to your customer, whoever your customer might be. There are lots of different ways to do that. So it's identifying the marketing channel and distribution requirements, working through what channels you're going to do, whether that's farmers markets, whether that's home deliveries, whether that's third-party options, wholesale options. It could be all kinds of different things. Direct marketing channels, farmers markets, CSAs, online ordering, whatever it might be. Finally, sales and promotion strategy. This is the last part of this section. This is often, this is where you talk about how you're going to tell your customers about your product and about your farm. So this includes traditional marketing, so printed materials, print advertising, newspaper, radio, word of mouth marketing, friends and family, digital marketing, so website, social media, Google AdWords, which is just Google advertising on Google, and then website optimization, and then your event strategy. So hosting events, tabling at events like this, attending events like this. The next part is your management and operation plan. So this goes through these different pieces. The management part goes through who are the owners, the business structure, so how is the business organized? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it legally organized as an LLC or a corporation? The key personnel, if there are salary and benefits, or will there be salaries and benefits later on? And then training and evaluations. A lot of times farms and family farms don't have formal trainings and evaluations. They go to conferences like this every year. They have 1 or 2 conferences that they go to every year, and that's their training and evaluation. And that's fine. It's not meant to be super formal. It is more meant for you all to understand where you're at and where you want to go and what programs and opportunities are available for you. The next part is the operations plan. So this is the facility and equipment operations of the business. So facility description, production process, that is fairly important. We don't need to know when and what day of the week and what month of the year you go through and meet and apply all of your things, and what day you plant and what day the moon rises that you want to go put your seeds in the ground. We don't need to know all that. We just need to know general production. And if you do organic, if you do more natural, if you do different things, we want to know that because that's important to your business. And sometimes those little production practices that you do that maybe somebody else doesn't do is a marketing plug, or it's an added cost that you didn't think about because it's something that you've always done, or your parents or grandparents always did and you just picked it up, but you never thought about it. So it's good to know those things. And then equipment, and then regulations. It is really important to know those regulations because sometimes they are required, depending on where you're selling and what markets you're selling into. The last part is your financial plan. So I've split this up into 2 different slides. The first part is kind of the overview of the financials, and then the next part we're going to go through the financial documents themselves. So the first part is the startup cost. So if you're starting a new enterprise on your farm in an existing business, or you're starting a new business, what's it going to start you to begin? So if you're building a commercial kitchen, if you're buying a new farm, if you're adding a new enterprise, so if you've never had chickens and you're adding chickens, what's it going to cost you? How are you going to find the money to start that enterprise? That's the next thing, capitalization. How are you going to manage your inventory? What is your insurance? How are you going to do your accounting? Do you keep a shoebox full of receipts and then go through it? Or do you use QuickBooks? Do you use an accounting software? Do you use Excel? Do you use Google Sheets? Are you some spreadsheet wizard that you have found something else that works so well for you? Because if you do, please share with the rest of us, because we're always looking for new opportunities and new ways to do that. And then how you manage your risk. Finally, the financial projections. And I mentioned these in the beginning. These are your income statement. So this is focused on a period of time. It's usually cash versus accrual. We generally look at cash. And then your cash flow statements. So this is your net cash equals your cash inflow minus your cash outflow. Very, very basic. And then your balance sheet. So this is what you own versus what you owe. So your liabilities versus your assets. These are things that we look at for if you've been in operation for a couple years. We look at the last couple years. If you've never been in operation, we kind of create projections and startup costs, and then we project them out. Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate a little bit on cash versus accrual?
Yes. So generally with cash, it is what you have on hand. Accrual accounting is more for like accounts payable and if you're waiting for money to come in. Cash is mostly what farmers will end up doing because they are you're going to get money as soon as you give things out. You're not, it's not like a hospital where you send bills and you need money to come back to you. You're trading goods for money as they go together. Does that help? So with all of those, we work through the income, we work through the cost of goods sold. Both of those, cost of goods sold is part of your income statement, which is focused on a period of time. We generally look at these for a year. We look at them on a yearly basis because it's really important for us to see them by year. We can do them monthly. Sometimes we do monthly cash flow statements, especially for businesses like a meat processor who might vary month by month. So if you're a meat processor, you know that if you do deer processing, deer hunting months are a lot higher than maybe June or July when things slow down a little bit. And so those months might pick up a little bit, but those months have to carry you on those slower months. Or with vegetable farms, June, July, and August have to carry you January, February, March when you don't have vegetables. And then the last part of the business plan is evaluation methods. This is kind of just to help look through where you are and where you're going. And it's really just to kind of evaluate where your numbers are. So it looks at your number of customers, looks at the growth of your customers, looks at your sales, the number of transactions year over year. So we look at, if you've been in operation, we look at the last year, and we look at the growth over this year, and then we'll do the same next year. The sales per transaction, the sales forecast. We try and break them down by product line. Again, this is very dependent on how you keep records. If you just keep general sales, then it's hard to keep those, to break them down by product line. But we work with you one-on-one to figure all of this out. Any questions so far? Any questions? Yes.
Was packaging somewhere in there? Because, you know, if you're a farmer, especially a beginning farmer, and you're growing something, then to take it to the next level and to market it, and really, I think packaging kind of adds to the value. I guess that's like value-added products. But to say, for instance, you have tomatoes, and you make a tomato paste, and then whether you try to do it yourself, put it in a mason jar, or whether you actually want to spend the money to get with a company that does packaging so that you can actually put it in produce.
Yes, that's under marketing. That would be more under product than packaging. Packaging and products are under marketing, the marketing section. And we look through that. Some of that is under an expansion. And while that's part of a business plan, that's also a different kind of conversation. Because it doesn't always include that kind of conversation. If you're looking to expand your business from raising tomatoes and selling tomatoes at the farmer's market and selling tomatoes to your local grocery, your local restaurants, and then getting them into Kroger, it might not be an actual business plan that you're looking marketing strategy and a marketing financials is kind of the best way to describe that, where it's like, this is where we're at, this is what we want to do, what are the costs associated with that, and then what is the expected income based on that, and then is it worth my time to do it? Because it's a lot more work to get into that process, because it's a lot more certifications, it is a lot more relationship building on the farmer's end, it's a lot more relationship building on the other end, and we bring in other partners as well from that. Everything that I went over here today, everything that we just talked about are all services that KCAR can help with. The business planning part is something that we work with one-on-one. The market expansion part, depending on where you're wanting to go and what you want to do, there are cases that we bring in partners. Now, if you want to get into Kroger, KVA is one partner that I would highly recommend in large retail operations. KVA has a retail liaison who is phenomenal. If you're wanting to get into K through 12 schools or universities, CFA, Community Farm Alliance, or the Food Connection are great people to get into to work with on those as well. And we bring in those partners because it's a multiple way approach, because we want you all to be profitable at the end of the day, and we want you all to grow your farms. But we also want to make sure that what's going into those organizations and going into those schools is going to be beneficial to those kids. And so we want to make sure that everyone is getting what they need and everyone's getting what they want. So our focus is on you, their focus is on both the buyer and you all. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So the business plan, it just updates, so like I'm adding a fresh farm stand to my community garden. So whatever was last year's community garden, the business plan, now we're just adding the fresh farm stand.
Yep. Yeah.
Not separate one for everything.
No, you don't need a separate business plan for everything. Now, if you were going to create a separate business for the farm stand versus the community garden, then I would recommend having another business plan. But if you were adding a farm stand onto an existing business, then just update the business plan. So, and business plans are not meant to be cumbersome. They're meant to be done once and then updated on a yearly basis. One thing that's nice about KCAR, and that's great about working with us, and again, tooting my own horn here, but is once you get into our system, we work with you on developing this, but once you're done with the business plan, we don't just kick you out and say, okay, peace be with you. We revisit it, and we reach back out every few months, every 6 months, every 12 months, until you tell us, hey, no, stop, I'm done. I don't want to talk to you anymore. So we do our best to keep reaching out, and we will keep reaching out and updating this, because it is important to update this on a yearly basis, because things change, life happens, things happen over time. Your goals might change, your life might have changed, something might have happened that your business might have taken a twist somewhere, and it might have taken a totally different view from what we originally discussed. So, and that's important to get that updated. So don't feel like if you've worked with us in the past, or if you've never worked with us and you're like, you know what, I'm not there yet, it's okay. Having that conversation now is great. If you've never started a farm and you're like, you know what, I have this farm and I want to start, but I don't know where to start, just having that first conversation is really important too.
What's your name?
My name is Katie Bowen.
Okay. And so how do I get into your system? Do I come to where you already come from?
We come to you, so we are all based, there's 14 of us, and we are all based remotely around the state. You would actually just call that number or email that email, and you would talk to Laura Kurtz in our system, and she would bring you in and she would assign you to one of our staff, depending on, it depends on multiple things. It depends on what your business is, where you're located, and staff capacity at the time, who has the most capacity. And we all work together, so even if you come in and you are assigned to me, it might not just be me, it might be me and one other person, or me and another person. And then you'll work with us over time. And if you come to me and you're like, okay, I need marketing help, and then I help you on marketing, but in 9 months you're like, okay, I'm gonna start a nonprofit and we're gonna do all these things, and I'm like, great, I'm not the person you need to talk to anymore, then I'll move you on to the next person who can help you with that thing. Because I'm not always the best person to help you. I can talk a lot, but that's about a lot. So, yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I see a second summary, but I just have like here was a you have a second summary.
No, there's lots of different business plan templates out there. This is just one that we've refined over the years. We've been around for almost 25 years, and there's lots of templates available out there. So there's not one right way or wrong way to do it. So, yes, sir.
Does K-Card work with any grants or any financing for facilities, a building?
We do. We don't actually give money out. We work with the Kentucky Ag Finance Corporation, KAFC, which is through the Kentucky Office of Agricultural Policy here in the state. We are their mentors for some of their programs. We also work with a lot of lenders around the state through our time. We've built up a lot of relationships with them. Sorry. And then our grant facilitator, Kara, is actually here, and so there are programs out there depending on what the facility is that you want. If you all have any other questions, I will be here all day. Kara Stewart, our grant facilitator, will be here all day as well. I will actually be back in this room this afternoon, not talking, moderating. But thank you all so much.
Don't forget in the back of your agenda also is a conference survey from yesterday if you were here. It's a post-conference survey, and then you'll have one for today and for tomorrow also. That's how we kind of know like what we want for next year, and that's also how we pool our projects.
Yes. Yes, Nia.
Yes.
All right.
It's supposed to be cold in here.
Yes. All right, Nia is good to go.
That's so cute. I think I got it. I'll just start. Okay. Sounds good. Perfect. And the clicker?
I'm sorry?
It's just this a big button?
Sure, try it. See, I don't have to say. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
So what kind of countdown do you want me to notify you at? Like a 5 minute or 10 minute?
5 minutes.
Start.
Perfect. I'm sorry? No, I don't think so. Is he from Kentucky? I am my family's in South Carolina. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you know where in South Carolina? But yeah, we got a lot of Rivers family in South Carolina. That's fair. That seems precarious. Nia. Yes. It's okay.
Okay, good morning and welcome to our 10 o'clock session where we're going to discuss farm law education, injury liabilities, and farm insurance basics with Miss Nia Rivers. I would like to ask you all first to scan into the barcode if you haven't already done so, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Rivers.
Does this thing work too? This will work. All right. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for being in this session with me. Today we are going to dig into the basics of liability and insurance, which isn't always fun. Can be a little boring at times, but it is so important in keeping your farm or ranch protected. So by the end of this time together, hopefully I will have helped create a clearer picture of how farmers can become liable for injuries or accidents, whether that's a slip or fall on the farm, or something that happens at a farmer's market, or even a food safety issue. So my goal today is to leave this session, have you leaving this session feeling more confident and better equipped to build resilience in your operation. So I'm Nia Rivers. I'm with Community Farm Alliance. A lot of you already know what that organization does, but overall we work to build a strong farm-to-family food system here in Kentucky. That's through policy work, technical assistance, and just getting resources into the hands of farmers and communities. So I'm really excited to be here with you today. The introduction portion on the screen over here is left over from a previous presentation, and we don't have as much time today, so we're going to skip that a little bit. Luckily, many of you already know each other, and if not, the conference has other sessions for you all to network later. All right, let's get a pulse check here of where everyone is at with insurance. Nothing formal, just a raise of hands. Who here has insurance? Insurance of any kind. Homeowners insurance, renters insurance. Nice. How about farm or business property damage insurance? Okay, I see a couple of hands. Anything for liability coverage tied to your farm or business? Couple hands, perfect. Thank you. So maybe you don't have insurance at all, or perhaps you aren't certain of what kind of insurance you have. That no worries, that is very common. We often buy insurance because we have to, and getting the details isn't, everyone's cup of tea. So from that quick show of hands, it looks like most folks have some kind of insurance. Homeowner property insurance seems to be the most common, which totally makes sense. I saw a few unsure faces, and that's also very normal. A lot of us buy insurance because, again, we have to, not because we love digging into the details of what exactly our insurance covers. So that's why you're here a little bit. So to get a clearer understanding of what types you need and when you need them. So you're in the right place. We're going to talk through the basic insurance options here on the slide. There are others, more specialized policies out there, things like food safety or recall insurance, coverage for HR-related risks or policies for employee injuries. But for this session, we're sticking to the foundational policies that cover liability to people who aren't your employees. That is a different insurance altogether. So, all right, we're going to jump in now. Even though we have been talking about insurance, that's actually not where our presentation is going to begin. To understand the bigger role that insurance plays in managing risks, we first need to understand how farmers become liable for those injuries in the first place. So I am going to read off a little story for y'all to follow through. There's nothing on this next slide because I'm just going to be telling you a story. So Farmer May is a local producer who raises pastured dairy cows and turns the milk into farmstead cheese. She regularly hosts farm tours, pasture walks, and classes for the community. When her local extension agent approached her about hosting a gathering on her farm, she was eager. They planned a farm tour, a pasture walk, followed by some crackers and cheese in the afternoon. Everyone was familiar, friendly with each other. It was, an informal thing that happened on her farm. Some people brought their kids to this event. So at one point, a crowd of 20 or so were touring the barn where the cows were in their stalls. One of the kids made a bad decision to scare another kid by jumping on his back. This caused both of them to fall into an elderly fellow, we're going to call Bob, pushed him into a cow, and the cow got alarmed, and then it ended up resulting in Bob breaking a bone. So Farmer May and the extension coordinator immediately got Bob to the emergency room. Bob was seen by and tells the staff what happened. Well, I was squished by a cow. The doctor makes notes of this in his chart. It's important to explain the odd nature of why he got that break. That doctor fixes him up. And a few hours later, Bob and everybody back on their way. So Farmer May and the extension agent are worried about Bob's expenses and his health care. But Bob reminds them that he has great health insurance. He says he has excellent health insurance. He's not really worried about it. Bob tells Farmer May, who is his friend, and the extension educator that he'll be fine. His out-of-pocket cost should be low, and he understands that accidents happen. Bob said, "Don't worry about me. Everything's going to be fine." Okay. Do you think that everything is going to be fine? No. So here's what happened next. Bob's health insurance company is more than likely going to take a closer look at his injury. They may see in his medical records that his injury occurred as a result of a cow. Average people don't keep cows at home, so they're going to know Bob was on a farm and something went wrong for Bob to get this injury. The insurance company is paying for Bob's treatment. If there is a chance someone else is responsible for the injury, that insurance company will consider a lawsuit so they can get paid back for their expenses. So Bob's health insurance company calls him up. They interview him about the injury, how, where it happened. Bob has to tell him everything he knows, and Bob's an honest man, so that's what he does. When we get our health insurance, we agree to communicate about the injuries that we seek treatment for. If we refuse or we don't tell the truth, then that insurance company may refuse to pay for our treatment. So Bob tells them some kids were just roughhousing during a farm tour, and he was pushed into a cow stall, and he got stepped on. That's how he broke the bone. The insurance company takes all this notes, takes all this information, and decides, yeah, the farm is going to be liable for this. So they take legal action. Farmer May walks to her mailbox that very next day and pulls out a letter stating that Bob is suing her. When we get health insurance, we give our right to sue in our name for injuries that our health insurance company pays to treat. So Bob isn't suing Farmer May. Bob's insurance is suing Farmer May. The health insurance company doesn't necessarily care that Bob doesn't want to sue his friend Farmer May. The health insurance company doesn't care that they are friends. The health insurance interest is strictly financial. They want to be paid back for that treatment they paid for Farmer Bob. I want to pause here to emphasize that point. Bob is a really nice guy in this story. He means no harm to Farmer May. He isn't suing Farmer May because he's, a litigious guy who likes to go to court. He's not even the one who, insinuated this lawsuit. What this means from your perspective as farmers is that working with nice people like Bob isn't legal protection. We'll get to what is good legal protection, but for now, Farmer May is at her mailbox. She is reading this letter, and she is being sued. She's panicking. She's wondering if she is responsible. She's wondering what the law is going to say about this, and she's wondering if she is liable for his injury. Just a quick question. Do you think she's liable for this injury? Where am I at? So a complete answer to this question is going to be complicated, but I'm going to give you a very simplified version that is good enough for right now. May is responsible for Bob's injury if she was negligent. And under the legal definition of negligence, she was negligent if she was less responsible than an ordinary farmer under similar circumstances. So now, to be fully transparent, there are other bases on which farmer may be liable for things, but we're just going to discuss negligence right now and how it exists in this scenario. So a farmer is negligent when she is less responsible than the ordinary farmer would be under similar circumstances, like I said. So what does that mean? Who is an ordinary farmer? I don't think anyone here is similar to each other. I don't think we've met like a regular ordinary farmer. So what are similar circumstances? Farmstead dairies are not that common. So do we mean similar farm tours in general, or similar farm tours involving dairy operations? What does less reasonable really mean? So if you have many questions, you're not alone. One thing is for certain, both sides, both law groups will argue about all of those questions. So each side will start working on their best arguments. Then it will be the attorney appointed by the health insurance company's turn. They might say, sure, farmers do host farm tours all the time, yes, but most farmers limit the size of their tour group, no more than 7 or 8. 20 is far too large, a tour group in most farmers' opinion. Most farmers are also aware that young people can get rowdy. In most cases, most farmers require chaperones for young people, or they offer separate tour groups for youth. Most farmers do not hold farm tours the way Farmer May did. May's attorney is going to argue that May acted just like every other farmer would, and therefore she wasn't negligent. Her attorney might say something like, all around the country, on every nice Saturday evening, farmers are hosting field days. Thousands of farmers nationwide are welcoming fellow farmers, community members onto their farms, see what's happening. Kids are usually welcome. Mixed groups of young and old, touring barns all the time. This is incredibly common. Farmer May did all the things that a regular farmer would do. Which side is right? I don't have an answer for that. That would come from a judge or a jury. But put yourself in Farmer May's shoes. She's still asking if she's liable for Bob's injury. The answer depends on her arguments, her data, and how convincing she is on what a common farmer would do. So she needs an expert to craft all of these arguments together, to put all this info together. She's not the best person to do that. That's a job for an attorney who has seen this many times before and has those legal arguments ready to go. So where does she get that? We're going to talk a little bit about insurance. So insurance is like having a retainer on an expert attorney. So when people think about insurance, they usually think about that pile of money insurance companies will give you or give you or an injured person. Like, here's $200,000 for your medical bills. What they don't think about is what happens well before any payouts are made. The insurance company appoints an attorney to defend the farm, a person who tries to make sure the farm isn't found liable in the first place. The monthly or annual bill you pay liability insurance can be tough to handle. It's not cheap. It can feel like throwing away money. It may help if you focus on the full value of your policy. First, the premium payments are like a retainer on an attorney. Second, the premium payments ensure you have money to compensate the injured person if you end up being responsible for the injury. What it boils down to Farmer May's story and to the statement, insurance is the single best risk management strategy for injury liability and is necessary even for the safest of farms. Many people think insurance is there to provide money when something goes wrong. That is true, especially with property insurance. There's a fire in the barn, insurance gives you money to rebuild it. But when we're talking about liability, the value of insurance comes way before that. The insurance policy is there to get the farmer a capable defense and at no cost to the farmer at the time. Then if the farmer's attorney loses, that insurance also helps with the payout cost resulting from any of the liability that they were found liable for. So insurance is essential even for the farmer that does everything right. Because the farmer might need to prove that they did everything right, everyone needs insurance because anyone could be sued when things go wrong because that's how we figure out who is liable. So now we'll shift our focus to discussing which insurance policies address liability for what kinds of injuries. But before we get there, I want to offer a realistic picture of how these kinds of claims usually proceed. So our story of Farmer May had her ending up in a courtroom with a judge. In reality, that is rare. Most of the time, this kind of case would not go to trial. Generally, the attorney for the injured person and the attorney for the farmer will reach a settlement through a negotiation, but that doesn't change our view of what negligence is and how it is determined. The settlement negotiations will focus in part on how easily liability could be proved in court. If it could be easy to prove Farmer May is liable, then an insurance company has fewer cards to play. The injured person has more power in those negotiations. So you can see the connections between safety practices and insurance companies. Most liability insurance companies will do a routine inspection of your property, of the property they insure. So they're looking for things like collapsing barns, unsafe conditions, things they know they won't be able to defend in court or in settlement negotiations. They may ask you to fix those things, to fix that collapsing barn, and before you agree to continue insuring your business. But all that assumes you have insurance for those injuries that occurred as a result of farming in the first place. So, and unfortunately, for many farms, that's just not the case. Too many farms have no insurance coverage at all for injuries. Many farms have basic farm liability policy. They might think that basic farm liability covers things that happen on the farm. This is not always the case. Basic farm liability insurance generally excludes coverage for agritourism, events and classes, on-farm poultry processing, value-added production, CSA drop-off sites, food safety liability, and farmer market sales. So now you may be asking yourself, okay, what does my basic farm liability insurance cover, given all these exclusions? Covers farming. These things are generally not considered farming. They are agritourism, processing, marketing, in the eyes of an insurance company at least. Yes?
I don't know if this is a question more so as a comment.
Sure.
And this is
Right.
it's soon. So, at the end of the day, I look at it as you have two small-scale farmers who think very differently than this insurance company.
Right.
And they both end up losing because Farmer May, her premiums are gonna go up.
100%.
Because now she had a claim against her. Farmer Bob, his premiums are gonna end up going up because he had a legitimate claim.
Yeah.
Injured myself. So when we look at things like this from a small scale farmer, and it'd be very interesting when we get to the crop coverage, it just doesn't make sense. And I don't know if there are additional programs, I know there are some that cover crop insurance. That might be a little bit more geared, but can you just make it make sense on why a small scale farmer, because these premiums can be astronomical, especially
100%.
when you get the riders to cover the above.
Yes.
Most small-scale farmers are moving into agritourism because
Right.
that's a revenue stream. Most farmers are moving into CSA programs because it's the consistency. Most farmers are trying to get into the value add type products because these are revenue streams. So by the time we add on all of the extra riders to get this, we're cutting into our small profits that we have so significantly. So
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to say, how does it make sense for the small scale farmer? What might be a strategy where, I don't know, maybe we need to unite all small scale farmers to create our own insurance company and cover that, because the conglomerates out there right now, like you said, they aren't really interested in the farmer, they're interested in the profit
Right.
of the insurance company. So make it make sense to me.
I can't make insurance make sense to myself. I will say you are spot on about everything that you said. It does cost a lot. One of the tips that I always recommend is talking to an insurer who knows how to insure farms, because there are a lot who will say they will, or they'll send you an agent who might actually not really know how to insure your farm. Farm Bureau usually has a pretty solid handle on it. State Farm, you probably all have insurance people you'd like to go to. Another really good resource is talking to each other. Some people, have a really good agent who has experience insuring those things. And then I was going to see if she's in the room, but she's not. Talking to an agent, I helped someone do this, but talking to them about exactly what you're looking for. Because if you don't, and you don't get a good agent, they're going to get you insured for all of this, and you might not need all of this. You might need something very specific, or you can, we have 3 events a year, then get you insured for those 3 events. It needs to be very custom to your operation to help bring those costs down as much as possible, but it is expensive. There's-
Different agents in the same Farm Bureau example.
Go ahead.
Different agents within, some of them will specialize in the farm versus others. So
Yes.
that's very important.
Yes. Danetta.
So, as it, consider the scenario that you gave about the farmers, so it might be getting a little bit too much into the weeds, but what I'm thinking about, would liability not also be a third-party responsibility, like the parents, of course, like, would they have like a partial blame, or would they be sought after or sued because of their neglect, not watching their children? And then also maybe, in my mind, I'm thinking like if he's doing a tour, then they're probably signing a waiver that could establish him, which I know a waiver doesn't protect all of that, but it could also include if you are, you're agreeing to mediation instead of this, and things like that, you know what I mean? So like,
Yep.
I guess there's a 2-part question, like, would a third party, as far as the parents of juveniles, be also at fault and susceptible to a lawsuit, and also would waivers have some kind of protection as well?
Gotcha. For your first question, that would depend on the situation at hand and what the parent did or did not do. So that one's going to be situationally based, and it also depends on what the lawyer wants to sue for. and defend for. For the second part, waivers are, from everything I've heard, you can get people sign a waiver, but state by state, they have so many holes in them. If it gets to going to court, your waiver is more than likely not going to hold up. Some states do not allow waivers to be used just as in regards to negligence. Like if you have like gross negligence, the waiver doesn't count. Some states are like public policy based, so you're if the activity at hand is already considered dangerous, then the waiver doesn't count. If the waiver wasn't specific enough to cover what happened, then the waiver doesn't count. Or if it's vague enough, the waiver could be worked around. Waiver doesn't count. So waivers sometimes work, but I'm going to say they mostly don't work. They don't hold up. They don't hold up very well. They come with a lot of holes. The only thing I could think is that, like, personally, I'm less likely to sue someone if I think I signed a waiver, but that's because I think the average person doesn't have like the legal education of knowing that like they could sue if they really wanted to, and it's expensive to get a lawyer. But those insurance companies, like in our scenario with Farmer May, they're going to know. And they're going to go after that money. So you could get waiver signed, but they most likely don't hold up very well in court. Insurance will, though. Yes. If your tour is if it's under that business, yes. 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 Sorry, I'm trying to hear. You'd have to have different insurance, though. I would highly recommend that your LLC looks at what kind of insurance and liability coverage it has to make sure that it's covered. Because this scenario still very much could happen. It just wouldn't be, they wouldn't be coming after your farm. They'd be coming after your LLC. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there is a layer of protection. It's rice paper thin, but it's there. Yes. It's like not non-existent, but you know, I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't step on it to hold my weight. Yes. Oh, I was like, yes, question. Okay. So what you need to know, typical farm liability policies cover injuries that happen to farm customers and guests while on their farm and in the course of farming in general. Basic farm liability covers injuries to folks who are delivering inputs, purchasing farm products, repairing farm equipment, and things like that. So farming often includes on-premises sales, but often doesn't include sales that happen off the farm, like those that happen at a farmer's market. So often the insurance company will clarify that the farmer's market sales are the only exception to the rule that the sales has to happen on the farm. But you have to ask, and we'll get to that soon. Food safety is a bit more complicated, so our next slide is on that. Addressing injury that happens because of food safety incidences can be more complicated. This is where someone suffers liver damage from salmonella, for example. This is more complicated first because we have more regulations here. Hosting a farm tour isn't heavily regulated as compared to, saying, slaughtering a steer, having it ground into beef and selling it in a package to become hamburger. Second, it's more complicated because we often have more players involved. We have actions of the slaughterhouse, processors, distributors, also to keep into consideration. And food safety involves more basis for liability besides just negligence. As a result, food safety injuries are often addressed through separate policies, like a product liability policy. But the good news is that when we're talking about insurance coverage for all types of injuries, our action steps are pretty much the same. So let's talk about that and what you're going to do about this. Sweet. Here's a suggestion. Talk with your insurance agent about all the things that you're doing at your farm. First, describe all the activities to your insurance agent, what events you host, how often, how many people usually come, do you charge, so on and so forth. What value-added goods are you producing, where, how much, when, how often. All those very finite details are going to be very important. The insurance agent may say you need to purchase an additional endorsement or rider for some of these activities, or they may say you need to purchase a commercial line of insurance. Your insurance agent should be able to explain exactly what you need to cover your coverage, to secure your coverage. You should also feel comfortable asking for assurance that these are the things covered. Just double checking with them. You told them all the things that you need covered on your farm, and then I always recommend then asking them to point out exactly in your policy how these are covered, just to make sure that that is exactly how it is stated and those things are covered. If your insurance agent is unable to provide you with your satisfactory answers or get you an affordable quote, might be time to consider working with a new agent. The best place to find a new insurance agent is, like I said, within your own community, word of mouth. It's important to point out that many people do not feel comfortable with this process. So folks speak a language there are people who speak languages other than English, folks with non-traditional farming backgrounds, those of us who are within marginalized communities sometimes feel uncomfortable finding an insurance agent and discussing issues with them at all. So talk about ways that can be decreased. Maybe you can have someone in your community. I am always available to talk to insurance agents if you need to. And I don't know how many minutes. I'm kind of nervous. Go to the next slide. We're going to skip the share out loud part. Oh, that's me. But yeah, overall, if you have any questions, please let me know. I want to thank you all for your participation today and your insights. Thank you for that. If you'd like more resources or information from Community Farm Alliance or Farm Commons, they are the ones who have trained me for farm legal education. So I do talks on leasing and insurance and employee law, law education. I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help and be there if you need it. Thanks. Go ahead. So if they turned an ankle and they go to the hospital and they say they just were walking and turned their ankle, it probably won't even come up on their medical chart, and their medical insurance more than likely will not see that it was on a farm and come after the farm. But if they say, hey, I was on a farm tour, I mean, that's going to buzz for them. And what will happen is, and you don't have farm insurance, let's say that medical insurance comes after you, I think that's what you're asking, you might be liable to pay their health insurance costs, which shouldn't be very much for a twisted ankle. But let's say they break their leg, you'd have to pay their medical costs if you were found liable or negligent. And yes. So not just the medical cost for the injury. If that person had to take off 3 days of work, you're paying their wages for the 3 days off that they pay. You know, it adds up of all the things that could cover. Yes. I don't think they're covered at all. They shouldn't be there. No, I really don't think they're. I mean, you could go to court for the fact that they trespassed. Yes. Yes, and then also it can be state by state specific, but she seems to know, so I trust it. She asked, are you liable for trespassers on your property? Every state is different on how they handle that. It sounds like Kentucky is every 50 feet you have to have a sign that says no trespassing, because they have to know that they're trespassing. Like if I'm walking in the woods and I don't realize I'm in someone's property. All right, thank you all. Thank you for your participation. I appreciate you.
We have a farm like 2 hours away from where we live. We don't live there. And people are sending us letters they want to answer.
Okay.
We're not answering the letter. And we don't want anybody to go, but we don't live there.
Sure.
If they go out and they got hurt, am I responsible?
No, that's you. You can bring a case for them for being on your property at all, especially if they didn't get a hunting permit from you, they didn't get permission from you.
Even though they send me a letter, but I ignored it.
Yeah, because you did not give them permission to do that. It's like I can't break into your house and then fall on my leg and then be like, you know, right? He put this weird table here and then I broke my leg. I was trying to rob him. No, you can go after them. They should not be able to come after you because they shouldn't have been there. They didn't get the.
But is there cases where it's kind of access?
They could try it, but I don't think it. I mean, everyone can try anything. They can legally sue for anything, but I don't think that's going to hold very well. Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I will say keep the letters.
They email us or yeah,
I'm a big paper trail person, so like hypothetically, and again, I don't think they would even come out to you if they got hurt, but hypothetically, let's say I did. Let's say I'm crazy and I'm like, I'm going to come sue you. You can literally be like, here's this letter that I never replied to. So I got it, I received it, or and ever so often if you do, just say no. No is a complete sentence, even with a period, just by itself. And you can show that in court, like I said no. Like not allowed to be there. Also, you not responding is also a no. It's implied.
very bad at keeping records.
Yes. But yeah, they shouldn't be able to come after you. If you would like, just for extra security, keeping those correspondence, if anyone ever says anything, you could just be like, here it is. I did get it. I said no. I implied no. They didn't get a response back and shouldn't have been there.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, who wants this? Oh, I don't have a water bottle. Big old heads on that screen.
Good job. Cora. Yeah. Just in case you need it.
presenting in room A?
After lunch?
I get 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll check. Make sure. Yeah. Hey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Is this your correct PowerPoint? I'll make sure it's your presentation.
Jimmy has asked me about it a million times. Have you sent your PowerPoint? Yes, ma'am, I have. Yes, ma'am, I have. Yes, ma'am, I have.
We want to make sure we got the
Yep,
right.
that's it.
Okay. Well, we just got like 2 more minutes.
Okay. I got more crew coming in, and I forget you. I've got this little. Whatever you want to do.
I'll just make it short.
I'm gonna chug this real quick and get rid of this.
No worries.
Actually, no. I better save a little bit in case I get choked. Do you still have Nutri-Grain bar? No. Yeah, I put that Nutri-Grain and I was trying to talk and it was like, the more I kept chewing, the bigger it got. I kept going. It keeps me quiet.
I'm afraid people will ask questions. That's my issue. I can't answer questions. And I've discovered questions are scary. When it comes to buy local, people are like,
You guys ready?
Yeah, yeah.
We're here.
Yep. Yep, we're cool. Goes that way? Yep.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear? Okay, great. Well, welcome to Kentucky State University. We'll be having our guest speaker from Kentucky Department of Agriculture, and they will be talking about marketing your products today, and I'll let her introduce herself here shortly. And if you all don't mind, could please sign in with the QR code on your table if you haven't already, and we appreciate your time today. And then I'll let Sharon take it.
Thank you. Actually, I usually don't need a microphone because I'm always so loud. Everybody always says, we can hear you without the microphone. Well, good morning. How is everybody this morning? Okay, that was a little weak. I want them to hear you all the way out to the front gate. So good morning. How is everybody this morning? See, I want them to think out there that they're really missing something big in here. So this is going to be where all the party's at today. So I'm Sharon Spencer. I know, woohoo, I already hear woohoo. So I'm Sharon Spencer with Kentucky Department of Agriculture. Real excited because I've got more team joining me because usually I'm always a party of one. So I've got more team joining me today. So real excited. We've got Miss Morgan Murphy. She's going to be talking a little bit. She's going to be doing farmers markets. Morgan started October the 16th. And so she's going to be doing farmers markets, CSAs. So we're going to cover a little bit about that shortly. We've got Miss Pam Holbrook, and she just started. Pam, when did you start?
Same day.
Oh, October 16th. That's right, the same day. And so she is going to be doing the Buy Local program. So we've got a little bit of her contact information and everything too. So she'll be out there at our booth, so check her out. Then we've got Miss Mackenzie Priest. She is going to be doing agritourism. Be nice to her because today is her third day. So be real nice. She was only in the office one time, and then I said, we're taking you on a road trip. So really excited about you guys joining us. As you all know, I'm kind of a dork when it comes to farmers market because I talk farmers market all day long in my sleep and everything, and agritourism as well. So how many is Kentucky proud? Good part of the room. So for those of you all that are not Kentucky proud, why? I mean, they're not from Kentucky. Miss Jane said they're not from Kentucky. Well, we're going to get you signed up. Absolutely free program. We're going to tell you a little bit about what Kentucky Proud is. So anything that is produced, grown, raised, manufactured that has an agriculture value to it, a direct farm impact, can be Kentucky Proud. Absolutely free to join. www.kyproud.com, and you can sign up and you will get a reply back from Alex Floyd saying you've been approved. Very, very simple. There's two things. We ask for the farmers markets. If you're over a farmers market or anything, we ask for the farmers markets to register with us every year. We ask you to go in, update the information. It provides us with the hours, the dates, when the market's going to open, all of that information and a lot more questions. And then also, the vendors can sign up for Kentucky Proud, but very simple. So the folks that raised their hand and said you were Kentucky Proud, do that one more time. Okay, have you all checked your email to see if you've got an email saying it's time to go in and renew your Kentucky Proud membership? They will ask you. I had a gentleman earlier ask, why do we have to update this every year? We want to make sure we've got the most current information because when you put information out there, it goes out there on our website. So when we've got customers, consumers going out searching for something, if they call you and you go, like they call Mason, and Mason goes, I don't have a pumpkin patch. I don't do pumpkins no more. I don't think Mason will ever get out of the pumpkin business. But we want to make for sure that we've got the most accurate information. If not, they come back at us and get mad at us for that. So currently, I think this is over 6,300 members. We've really got close to about 7,000 members. So this program continues to grow and grow. Very proud of this. How many has heard about the tobacco settlement? Okay, the tobacco settlement money that came into Kentucky, that came in and that's going back to the farmers. That's making a direct farm impact to our farmers. Other states, they got the tobacco settlement money and put it into the general fund. So where did that go? It's gone. It's already spent. It's gone. It didn't go back to the farmers. So that's one thing here in Kentucky. We're very blessed. That money has went back into our Kentucky farmers' pockets. So Appalachia Proud. Anybody from one of these 54 counties? So did you know that you're not only Kentucky Proud, but you're Appalachia Proud? This is a program that we have again. It's a marketing program, part of our Kentucky Proud program. And if you're in one of these counties, 54 counties, you can join. You automatically are enrolled in Appalachia Proud. So if you join Kentucky Proud, you put on there that I'm from Whitley County, then you're automatically in Appalachia Proud. So you can use either the Kentucky Proud. See if I can go backwards. Yep, you can either use that Kentucky Proud for your marketing, or you can use that Appalachia to make you stand out. So my next question is, do I have any veterans in the room or any active military? Hey, we'll take that, but you served as well. I've had that before when somebody says, well, my husband or my wife, the whole family serves. I mean, so first of all, we appreciate your all service. Thank you so much. The other program I'm very proud of that we've got with Kentucky Proud is Homegrown by Heroes. So anybody that is active military and they farm, or if they are a veteran and they farm, they can join this program, Homegrown by Heroes. We have 287 members for that. And I forget, I got this right here in front of me instead of having to do this. But we've got 287 members. We do ask for documentation because we want to make for sure that this program stays true. So again, thank you all for your service. And if you're not Homegrown by Heroes, we'll get you signed up for that. We just ask for a DD-214. That is going to show where you were in the military, and then if not, if you're active, we ask for a letter from your commanding officer, just kind of documenting that. So a couple of things with being Kentucky Proud. You've got some funding opportunities that you can do. So Ms. Pam, I'm going to make for sure that I get this right, make sure I talk about your program and you're right on this. So Buy Local program, that is where you can work with a caterer, you can work with a chef, anybody that does food service and they want to purchase your products. So if you're a Kentucky Proud member, they can join the program that is Kentucky Proud Buy Local and be one of our members that supports like our restaurants. So Mr. David Walker has got a lot of, he's got some jalapeno peppers, huge jalapeno peppers. He's got tomatoes that he's wanting to sell. So he's got a chef that's over there in Pikeville that's interested in buying. They're a Kentucky Proud member, so he can sell his products to that restaurant, and that restaurant can get some money back, up to almost 15% back in that. So notice a difference, though, that this Buy Local program has made $17.84 million. I keep thinking that's the lottery that I'm going to win, but I've never won it yet. Maybe $2 or $4 is about all I win. But that's made a huge difference, doesn't it? So if we didn't have this Buy Local program, that's money that wouldn't be coming back into our producers and also to the restaurants supporting. So I get questions. That's good. You know, you get the Buy Local program, that helps the restaurants. That doesn't help us. How does that help us? That gets you a new customer to sell your products to. And then it may say Walker Farms special on the menu or whatever too that night. So that's going to get some more advertising promotion for you. It's all about promoting yourself. It's all about talking about your products and promoting yourself. This is Ms. Pam Holbrook's information. Pam, raise your hand again. So any questions or anything on that, she will be out front. I think she's got a Teams call shortly, but she will be out front at our booth if you've got any questions. So Farm to Fork, has anybody been to a Farm to Fork dinner? Really cool events. These are a great way to connect and I hate to say this, city folks and country folks together. Because a lot of times, some people has never been out on the farm. How many in here knows where your food comes from? It comes from a grocery store, right? No? Where does it come from? Do you know how many grown adults think that the food comes from the grocery store? There's not a farmer behind that food in the grocery store. And I said, the last time I checked, the grocery stores didn't have a garden out back growing it. So this is a great way for you to provide some education. And you'll hear me say this a couple of times. Tell your story. Tell what you do on the farm. Talk about your farm. Talk about your operation. Be very proud of what you do. These Farm to Forks are a great way for you to host these on your farm to get people out on the farm that has maybe never been on the farm. They can, it's a money raiser and everything for a nonprofit, which is a 501c3. So we ask for a host organization. We ask for a 501c3. So that could be a farmer's market. If your farmer's market is a 501c3, it could be an FFA foundation. It could be maybe 4-H foundation or anything that you could raise money for, or even a food bank. We have some that has Feed My Sheep down in Burkesville that does a farm to fork dinner every year, and they raise money, and I forgot how much money, but it's just more money coming into that food bank. Everybody know where Greenup County is. Greenup County is up by Ashland. Amel's Greenhouse, Kenny Amel decided he wanted to do a farm to fork because there was a grant. And the first year he had over 400 people that attended that. He was blown away. Because usually there are 50, 60, 70 people, but he had over 400 people. The biggest one he's had is over 800 that has attended the events. I think he's on his 4th year, but the money that they raise, he splits the money, the donations that comes in, he splits that money with 4-H, FFA, and the McConnell House, which is like a heritage council, tourism council. And the biggest amount, I think this year, was maybe 42, 44,000. I might have to get those quotes because I was talking about it last night and I said, I can't remember. But I know the one year he did $41,000 was raised. He has businesses coming to him going, when are you hosting the next Farm to Fork? What's the date? I want to be on there. I want to be your top sponsor. How many has that problem? I go begging to sponsors. They don't come begging to me. So this is a great way to tell your story, to get your information out. So what this is a $750 grant. $250 of that goes towards promotion. You've got to use that Kentucky Proud logo, Appalachia Proud logo to promote the program, and you'll get money for that. Then $500 will come in to help you support. It's a 50-50 grant, so you've got to spend at least $1,000 and you'll get money back. But it's for me to go, and if we're going to have maybe some kind of a salad or something and I'm looking for tomatoes, I can go get tomatoes and everything from David. And that way you just have a receipt. So you're supporting local, you're buying from your producers, you're not always asking your producers to donate products. So that's a great way to kind of give back. So Kentucky Proud, one of the options and one of the opportunities that you've got with Kentucky Proud is a promotional grant. So if you are a farmer's market or if you are a Kentucky Proud member, you have an option to participate in the cost share. Cost share is a 50-50 cost share. It's up to $8,000 a year and up to the max cap of $36,000. This can help you with marketing. This can help you with doing billboards. How many pays attention to billboards? We started doing this, and they wanted to do farmers markets promotion, and they said, we're doing billboards in all these counties. And I'm like, who reads billboards? Now I read billboards every place I go. I guess it's got my attention, but I've heard a lot of people say that they read billboards. And so this is a great way for you to do signage, if you need to do signage for your farm. So the farmers market can apply as a farmers market as a whole for marketing. And then also the individual producer can apply. So on this Kentucky Proud, we do not have grant applications out there with us. They are online. But this can help you go on and apply for that. You want to make for sure you get it in before the end of the month. So for example, if you fill the application out, you turn it in by the end of November, it goes to the Kentucky Proud Review Committee, which Morgan has agreed to be on. But we've got several different members in our department that actually reviews those applications. We take each one of them and review them of what kind of impact it's going to have. And so you send it in November. The end of November, you get reviewed on the committee. December, you'll get a letter and you'll get a contract. Do not spend any money before. So how many has done CAPE funds? That's the county incentive funds. Those are automatically, you can get asked for reimbursement. So this one you can't. Whatever the contract date is, you can start spending after that date. So just remember that. If not, you'll lose money on that. These are some different options that you can use. Any meat producers in here? Does anybody use a box truck or a box trailer that you travel back and forth and everything to the markets? This is a great way. You can use this program to actually go in, not to get the vehicle and not to get the box trailer. So don't say, Sharon Spencer said you all would buy me a box trailer. No, we can get you the vehicle wrap that will go around that. So this is Cherry Farms here in the middle. It's Tanya Cherry from down in Allen County. And what is this? It's a running billboard because she takes it to pick up the meat. She takes it to the farmer's market. We did a farm to fork dinner down in Burkesville, and she had this setting. It was a backdrop for pictures. So what is that going to be? That's got her farm name, and it says Kentucky Proud on it. So a great way to do some marketing and advertising for it. And guys, if you all got any questions, just holler at me too. So 3 of my favorite programs, again, I've always said we've got the cool programs. I try not to say that too much because I don't want Commissioner to hear that we have way too much fun in what we do. But agritourism, farmers markets, and community-supported agriculture. So agritourism, that is what Miss McKenzie, raise your hand again. That is what she is going to be taking over. I said we have about 600, but we did a report, and we're up to about 700 now. We do consider our farmers markets as part of our agritourism program, just because it's a learning experience, it's an educational experience, even farm attractions and everything as well. But agritourism is where you can invite people to come out on your farm. It's our pumpkin patches. It's our horse farms. It's just an educational for school tours and everything too. But again, it's a great opportunity to get those people out that's not familiar with farming and tell your story. Again, talk about what you do on the farm and educate them. So not only give them something to have a memory and to have fun, but provide them with a little bit of education and everything too. This is real simple to sign up. You add that in with your Kentucky Proud. When you go to sign up, it's going to ask you what you do on the farm. So you're going to have a lot of those. So any questions whatsoever, contact Mackenzie. And Mackenzie, I didn't put your email on there because I wasn't for sure what it was going to be at first when I was doing this. So stop by, Miss Jane. That's one of our greenhouses that we've got, and they're also doing lettuce and everything. You'll be amazed. We've got a lot of folks that are now doing hoop barns. They're doing, or not the hoop barns, high tunnels is what I'm trying to think. High tunnels and greenhouses to expand the seasons. Early in the season and later in the season, because everybody's figuring out, everybody's got tomatoes at the same time, right? So everybody wants to get ahead of the game and try to get ahead of everybody else. Up here in the top, if you go out, Margaret is sitting at the desk and everything out there with Kentucky Farm Bureau. This is Kentucky Farm Bureau Certified Farm Market Program. We always say their people are our people is their people. So I know that somebody says I was an English teacher, and I thought, oh, don't come into my presentation because I'll probably butcher it. But anyway, we always share our members, so our Kentucky Proud members. Most of those are also Kentucky Farm Bureau Certified Farm Market. What that is where you can join if you've got a farm market on your farm. You can join their program. They do a lot of marketing. And this was 2 of our members. We went on a trip, and there was probably about 30 of us fighting to get in a cast iron tub in the middle of a U-pick operation to take a picture. I said, we're like a bunch of kids fighting over a tub. But great ways to add production and everything to your farm and to kind of diversify your farm as well. A sunflower patch. If nobody has ever done a sunflower patch, or if you ever think about it, take it out, throw some seeds out, open it up to photographers. People absolutely love it. Some lady said, that was the best move I've ever made. U-pick operation, you can do some different things on your farm, but some great opportunities for you in the agritourism field. So CSAs, does everybody know what a CSA is? It's community-supported agriculture. It's where you actually contract the farmer directly with the consumer and promise to deliver them a share of weekly products, usually seasonal products throughout the season. Bethany, is that right? So we partner in with the Kentucky Horticultural Council, Oak, Center for Crop Diversification, and also the Local Food Connection. I'm sure I probably forgot somebody, and of course with KDA. But we partner in with them to do a CSA promotion first of the year, spring through summer, which that's a lot of your sign-ups and everything that you do with your customers. Then we also decided that, you know, most folks are starting to do this throughout fall and winter, and they're offering possibly meat CSAs and everything. But the flower, who grows flowers? Miss Jane, I know. The flower industry has gone absolutely crazy, hasn't it, Jody? And everybody has realized, you know, we want to take something a little bit different, so we're going to do flowers. So many people does flower CSAs. Morgan and I have decided that if anybody would like to sign anybody up for a flower CSA, we will be great promotion for it. We would be more than happy to accept one of those. But they're a really neat delivery because this way you're educating your customers on, first of all, they get to meet the farmer. So they get to meet you, they put a face on their food, and they get to learn a little bit more about your operation when they go into like a CSA. Most of the time your food travels 1,500 miles to get to the farm, to the table from a grocery store. Nothing wrong with the foods that's in the grocery store, but why not have it fresh? That's probably been picked the night before or that day. And then also know the farmer, put that face on that food or whatever that you're buying. So farmers markets, so since 1993, we had, 43 farmers markets. That number continues to grow. We've got 178 farmers markets now. And Morgan, with Morgan being here, we're going to have over 180. Maybe, possibly. But we are shooting for all 120 counties to host a farmers market. We're very close. We've got about 2 or 3 counties that doesn't have one, but we're still shooting for 120. But we do ask the farmers markets to register again with our office every year in Kentucky Proud, and that helps you with just marketing promotions, things we do. We kick off the season marketing for that in Kentucky Proud, and then how many sales at a farmers market? Oh, just a few. So as you all know, when school starts the first week of August, what happens? The market kind of dies down. So that's when we kind of step our game up and we try to do some marketing and everything for that. But I think, and we've got Morgan's contact information, but Morgan, I think we've got some things coming that's changing.
Okay, so it has been 2 years, so that is when we go ahead and reevaluate our farmers market manual. So we are working right now on the is it 26, 27?
I know, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, so working on that right now. Our current one, the 24, 25 one, still has relevant information inside of it. So I really encourage anyone that is like interested in starting a farmer's market or starting to sell your products at a farmer's market, wanting to sample your products at a farmer's market, make different products for the farmer's market, like maybe canned items, stuff like that. Really encourage you to read through the manual. I say this as someone who has read every page in the manual. Okay, it is like very informative and educational. So really good information on there on several different like things that you would need to know if you're wanting to get more involved with farmers markets. Some of the things that are inside it, I'm not going to read all of them, but if you're wanting to sell honey or meat or nursery products like different plants or pet foods and treats, soaps, you know, all that different stuff, even wine or different alcohol at markets, we've got information in there on that. And also, if you need to get certain like certificates or permits, we have the contact info for those people in there. So really good resource on that. Also, let's talk a little bit about sampling. So we do have more information about sampling inside our manual, but we have research that says that whenever we do sampling at farmers markets, that it sells. So I'm going to try to step back so I can read this, but they did a study with UK, and it showed that it has an immediate impact on people who want to purchase your products if you do a sample. So 55% of people that purchased a sampled product, they had never planned on purchasing it, but once they had that sample at the market, they were like, actually, I want to buy this. So really good numbers there to support that sampling is important. So if you're wanting to sample at a farmer's market, we do require you to have a sampling certificate. There's 2 different certificates. There's a cooked and processed certificate. You don't have to have any additional training to get that. We will just have you fill out our sampling application, ask some basic like food safety questions on there just to make sure that everyone kind of knows the basics of food safety. And then as long as you get all of those correct and list the different farmers markets you would like to do your samples at, then I would issue you a certificate for that. Then we also have the all samples certificate, and that encompasses our cooked and processed, but also the raw and uncooked products. So that does require a little bit more to it. So you would need to have either your Produce Best Practice Training certificate, Produce Safety Alliance grower training certificate, or a food handlers class from your local health department. Those other two I just mentioned, you can usually get those at your local extension office. So you would send me your documentation that you completed that. Again, you would fill out our sampling application, and then I would be able to issue you the all samples
Do you want to
certificate.
tell them a little bit about the change that we're going to make for next year?
Yes, we are making a small change with our certificates. We used to mail them out, but we are wanting to make sure everyone gets their certificate in a more timely manner. So we're going to be emailing those out now. So just make sure you can get them pretty much like just faster than in the mail. And what we would ask you to do when you get that certificate is to print it out. I know some people don't have printers, but I'm a huge supporter of the local library. A lot of times they'll let you print for free or very cheap. Or if you go to your local extension office and you're nice to them, they might also print it for you. So that's what we're going to do. Whenever you are doing sampling, we do ask for you to display your certificate. And so it is a good idea to either laminate it or just put it in one of those clear sheet protectors, just so it kind of keeps it easier to read, especially if it's raining or something. But yeah.
Cool. Any questions or anything on that? I will say we're really excited about making this little bit of change, and we did ask Public Health if they were okay if we emailed, and they said yeah, but as long as they print them out and they do have them posted when you're offering the samples. One thing on the Farmers Market manual, this is really a manual for either getting started or maybe thinking about going to the farmer's market or maybe just selling some different products on your farm. But the best thing about the manual is almost everybody that you see up and down this hall, we've probably got them included in the manual. So those are the resources that we see are so valuable to you for you to reach out. We got Grow Appalachia, we've got Kentucky State University talking about their small scale farm grants. These are all grants. We tell you about all these grants. We tell you about all of this money and everything that you can get. So please apply for those. So we're not just up here preaching it to you. We want to make for sure that you can get this money and use this money and everything on the farm. So a little bit about the Kentucky Proud. We do a lot of different marketing opportunities. Again, we're right now into the holiday mode. So we're going into our Christmas tree. We've got a lot of Christmas tree growers here in the state of Kentucky, and I think the last 2 years ago, I guess, a meeting I went to, we had like 60 new Kentucky tree growers that's getting in. So everybody's wanting to do something a little bit different and even extend their season. So we talk about the holiday market, we talk about the Christmas trees, we talk about our wineries for gifts for the holidays. Maybe some of our folks that's commercially that's doing, maybe put your products in for their baskets. Go to the farmer's market, get some products and everything there for holiday giving. But throughout the year, we do a CSA promotion. So all year long, we've got some type of a landing page on our Kentucky Proud. So if you go to kyproud.com, you can find, we are in the process of getting a new marketing team that we're working with as well. So we're even going to change it and try to advance it a little bit more to where if you go in and say, I'm here at this location, maybe a little search like you see a map and it says click here, it will tell you everybody that's around. So bear with us. We're still working with the new marketing team and trying to get that up and running, but we're real excited about that change. So again, support local, buy Kentucky Proud. And most importantly, though, when you see a farmer, even though you're a farmer, make sure you thank your other fellow farmers as well. But this is the marketing team. I'm really excited to have a full staff. You all have had to put up with me since, I guess, the 1st of May, all by myself. And so really excited or whatever about this group. I think it's going to be great, and we can start moving everybody forward. Buy local questions. Make for sure that you check with Pam. Alexa Smith is our Kentucky Proud director that's took over the Kentucky Proud program. We've had a little bit of staff turnover and changes, and we've all been trying to pick up, and Alexis is just doing an amazing job. She does a lot of social media posts and everything as well, so I rely on her a lot for some of the things that we do, but really appreciate you guys of what you do. It makes our job easy to get out and talk about you all and promote you guys. So any questions or anything that you may have? I think I may be getting close to time. Yes, ma'am.
Can we fill out the sampling application online as well, or do we still have to print it and send it in?
Right now, it's still printed and you have to send it in, but what we're going to do is send an email. That may be something that we can maybe do a fill-in or something.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think that would be beneficial to have an online fillable form, so we'll look at that and work on it.
We tried that, I think, one time before, or I tried that one time before, and maybe I didn't know what I was doing, but I think something happened on it and somebody couldn't, but we'll see. Morgan's a guru on that stuff, so yeah, I'm sure she can come up with something creative. I think a
We would
PDF.
probably still offer the paper application to mail in as well, but maybe it could be a good addition to have the online.
We still have a lot of farmers that does not use computers, and I get it because sometimes it's real frustrating. We still have, okay, how many still has a flip phone? They don't have a smartphone. I'm impressed because I've got a couple that, and I got to say that too, my husband or whatever, he had a flip phone and it broke. He wrapped it with duct tape, because that fixes everything. So so a lot of times, and we email a lot. So when we have special events and everything going on, we shoot a lot of emails out so that way you can get the information very quick. If you don't do emails, let us know, but we still send paper information out and everything as well. So, guys, we appreciate everything that you all do. I wish you all the best Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful holiday season. Don't forget to buy Kentucky Proud for your holidays. But anything that we can help with, please let us know. We're always there, always available. And two, even if we're not doing anything right or if we're not doing enough, tell us that too. We want to hear the compliments as much as the complaints. So let us know how we can help. Oh, I don't know if I want to hear this one or not. Yes, sir.
I actually have two questions. One, is there a minimum for the grant match for advertising? A minimum?
For the promotional grant, for the POP grant, what they do is they take a look at it and they make for sure, see how many farms that it's going to impact. So if you're looking at that for like the farmers market, you want to make for sure that you give them more information than what they're asking for as well. But they're going to ask on the application how many farms that it's going to impact. And normally that's your members at the farmers market. There is a cap on that for the year of $8,000. I will recommend make for sure that you try to put on there very closely of what you're going to spend. Because I think it's now 6 months. It used to be you had a year to spend it, and I think it's 6 months now. I may be wrong on that. I'll probably have to check on that. But before it was 12 months, and so we had a lot of folks holding on to it, and then they went, I just didn't do what I wanted to do. So it kind of kicked people out because we said that money was already reserved. So now they've changed it to 6 months. So you've got a shorter window. If you're thinking about doing that for advertising for your farmers market or whatever, go on and have a plan. Go on and maybe talk to whoever the publicity team is that you're working with or publications or whatever that you're thinking about doing. And even if you're thinking about doing signs, maybe go on and have an estimate so that way you kind of know what you're going to be spending. So you said you had two?
Yeah, the other one was for the agro-tourism.
Uh-huh.
Would you all do like a site visit to a farm to look at it and say, oh, this could be a viable form of agro-tourism for you to pursue?
Yeah, under the Kentucky Proud program, we do not inspect, we do not ask. I mean, we ask certain questions. That's why we tried to open the membership and everything. We tried to get that application where we're asking more questions. If there is an issue or somebody goes, oh, well, that farm doesn't do any of that, we may call you, but then we may also come out and visit. But no, we love to come out and visit, especially our farms, and just check. And I know, Mr. Walker, I haven't been to your farm yet. Yeah, if you've got a question, if you want to see if maybe, this is what I'm thinking. Now, we don't want you to sign up for agritourism if you're thinking about doing it 5 years down the road. We want to know what you're currently doing. We can always update that Kentucky Proud membership. So if you're starting out very small and you're thinking, well, I may do one school trip, but I don't know if I'm going to like it, so I really don't want to open it up. That way you won't have people show up on your farm and everything. Because it is, sometimes it's for some folks, and sometimes people don't want everybody on their farm. Because there is things you've got to consider. Liability insurance. You're going to have more people on your farm, so there is going to be a risk. And you can probably ask Mason and everything on that does Crawford Farms over in Hardin County. Right? Hardin County. I said that the other day, and somebody goes, "No, I'm in LaRue County." I went, "Okay, well, you're close." But Hardin County, and so there's a lot of responsibilities that you've got to look into if you're going to have people come out on your farm. But it's also neat to have those kids out to let them learn about, and even the adults to learn things, because you'll hear them sometimes say, "Why do you know that? Oh, that's where that comes from? I didn't know that." Or just to look at the different fruits and vegetables and things that you're growing and just talk to them. But we can come out. If you're not comfortable, if you're thinking maybe it could be agritourism, just come out and just call us. We'll be more than happy to come out. I'll volunteer Mackenzie to come out anytime. But no, it's been since May, I have been in the office more than I've ever been in the office, and it's driving me crazy, and I've probably drove everybody else crazy too, because I'm one to get out, because I want to talk to the farmers. I want to see you all. I want to see your operation. That's how I can be a better spokesperson for you, because I know your operation. So sorry, maybe knocking at your door, but yeah, but let us know how we can help, and I think our time may be up and over. We do have agritourism liability signs. So again, if there is a issue, if you do want to have agritourism on your farm, we do have agritourism liability signs. Better not do that. That are like $3 a sign. We do charge shipping, but you can also pick them up in our office. But it's a KRS statute, and it's going to have the exact verbiage on it that KRS says. We want you to be in our program because it's got Kentucky Department of Agriculture on it. So if you don't want to be in Kentucky Proud, that's fine. That's your choice. And you can have those signs made and put your own name on those signs. You just want to make sure you follow it, because it says what size font and everything and the verbiage to say. So now, is that going to completely protect you from being sued? No. Because if I fail on your farm, you got to sign up, and they're going to go, "What, didn't you see the sign?" I'm going to go, "No, I didn't see the sign." So you want to make for sure anytime you make any changes on your farm, talk to your insurance agent. Make sure they always know. I say that firsthand because we had an issue on our farm. Thought I was even on Farm Bureau board, and I thought we had everything completely covered, so I assumed wrong. So learn the hard way, but so always make for sure you meet with your insurance agent. They know exactly what's going on your farm, especially if you're going to have more people come out on your farm. So, guys, thank you. I think that's a wrap. They're going to do this. I get this a lot because I get talking way too much. But again, thank you all so much, and have a great holiday. But thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. I thought I was doing good, and then
And we'll be breaking for lunch and networking, so you all are welcome to that. That's all going to be outside and within, but we'll be opening up for lunch shortly.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we today? Good. Was that lunch good? It was. I'm ready for a nap now. So my name is Angel Hughes. I am the Produce Safety Program Manager at the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. Some of you may have worked with me or my team. I've got my Eastern Kentucky representative, Max Farmer, here, and my Western Kentucky representative, Ryan Mayers, here with me today. So we are going to talk to you about the produce safety rule and food safety on the farm. So before I get started with this information, I just want to kind of gauge what industries we're from. So if you're a producer, can you raise your hand for me? If you're industry, so like you work in the industry, any of those in here? And then what about academia? Students, grad students, professors, okay. So we got a little bit of everybody in here today. So first and foremost, what is the Produce Safety Rule and FSMA? So FSMA is the Food Safety Modernization Act. It is a federal law that took effect in 2011 that housed several different food safety rules, one of those being the Produce Safety Rule. So that shifted the focus from responding to contamination events to improving our overall food system to more so prevent versus responding to an outbreak. So the Produce Safety Rule is housed in FSMA, and so that is a rule that's focused on establishing science-based minimum standards for safe growing, harvesting, holding, and packing. So this rule focuses on fruits and vegetables that are grown for human consumption. And so we at KDA, the Produce Safety Team, are responsible for implementing this rule. We do receive a grant through the federal government from the FDA so that we are state partners on your farms instead of federal government and officials. So this slide goes over a little bit about what you'll find in the Produce Safety Rule. If you've ever has anybody taken the PSA grower training? I got a couple of you. So you all are familiar with this information. They go into depth about these topics in that training. So worker health and hygiene, ag water, so pre-harvest irrigation, post-harvest washing your vegetables after you harvest them, biological soil amendments of animal origin, so your manure, also things like worm castings, things that are becoming more common that are not normal cow manure that a lot of people use traditionally. We also look at domesticated and wild animal intrusion on the farm, your equipment, tools, buildings, and sanitation, growing, harvesting, packing, holding activities, and most importantly, record keeping. A lot of people forget about record keeping. It is absolutely essential in the Produce Safety Rule. We do have outlines at our table out front that tell you exactly what kind of records are required to be kept for the Produce Safety Rule. So if you have questions about that, please come see us. So who's covered by the Produce Safety Rule? So this is a big topic that we work with new producers on quite a bit. Not everybody is going to be covered by the Produce Safety Rule. So let's start with what activities are covered. So if you grow, harvest, pack, or hold produce at your farm, that's considered a covered activity. Covered farms are specifically people who produce over $25,000 a year in their produce sales. Now, we do have an inflation chart that adjusts for inflation every single year on that. So that number is actually closer to $33,000. So if you produce over $33,000 a year in produce, you're going to be considered a covered farm, with some exceptions that we'll discuss here shortly. And then covered produce is going to be any fruit or veggie that is usually consumed raw. So when you think about, fresh salads, watermelons, fruits that you are not going to cook, those are going to be covered produce. We do have an exhaustive list of that as well. If you ever have any questions about is this specifically covered or not? So as we talked about briefly, there are some exemptions from the rule itself. So if you do not grow over that 33,000 mark in annual sales, your farm only grows for personal consumption on the farm, or your produce receives an extra step, such as canning, which is a kill step, then you are going to be considered basic exempt. So you are not covered by the produce safety rule. We do have an application for that you all can fill out, and we will give you a certificate that shows that you are a basic exempt farm in case anybody ever needs a certificate saying that you, a certificate of compliance. So that will kind of cover that for you all that are basic exempt. The next big one is going to be a qualified exemption. So this is for farms who would technically be covered, but the majority of their produce goes to a qualified end user. And so usually a qualified end user is located within your community. There are standards that can be found inside the produce safety rule that show you exactly what diameter or radius that has to be within. So if you ever have any questions about that, our team is happy to help you walk through that. That also is an application that comes through our office as well. If you need to fill out a qualified exemption application, we're happy to walk you through that, and then we'll get your certificate and your cover letter out in the mail to you. This flow chart that's up here, I know it's not ideal. It's just to show you what it looks like. We do have these located at our booth as well, and it walks you through step by step on if you are a qualified exempt farm. So if any of you all have ever had any interaction with us at a previous conference, or you've had a produce safety inspection, or you've been to a conference that's talked about produce safety, you may recognize this survey form. This is something that we have every producer in Kentucky fill out to register in our farm inventory for produce safety. This is how we look at each farm and decide whether you all are covered or not, and so that we can help you all decide whether you need to fill out a basic exempt application, a qualified exempt application, or if we need to do an on-farm educational visit to help you all prepare for your inspection. If you are a producer and have not filled one of these out yet, please come see us at our booth today so we can kind of have that discussion with you all and help you all fill that out and decide where you sit in the produce safety rule. Just wanted to touch base on some of the resources that we provide. Some of you have already taken this. If you haven't taken this yet, it is a great resource for Kentucky producers, especially if you are going to be growing produce. They take all of those elements we talked about in the beginning of this presentation and really discuss those in depth and give you resources for those specifically. This is a requirement for anybody who produces over that $25,000 mark, but it does not have to be taken by the producer itself. As long as you have somebody on your farm who has taken the PSA grower training, you have met your requirements for the produce safety rule. Another big thing is there is no cost to Kentucky producers to take this. This is a free training for you all. Our grant covers the funds that it takes to pay for the books and the certificates, so there's no cost out of your pocket for this. So if you have ever wanted to take a food safety training, please get with one of us and let us know. We'll get you on the waiting list. We should have 2 more, I think, in the winter for you all to take. It is remote. It's an 8-hour course on Zoom, so there is a little bit of time dedication there, but it's a great course for you all if you're going to be growing produce. We do host it in collaboration with UK. We work very closely with them at the Food Connection Center and the Crop Diversification Center and Extension, and they do help us host that, so they can also answer questions for you if you have those questions. So another resource that we have, we've worked with UK to collaborate together to create these signages specifically related to produce safety. Our most used one is going to be our hand washing. A lot of producers like to put this out in the pack shed or in any restroom that they have on campus. That way people are reminded, make sure you're washing your hands appropriately for the right time. Another one that we use typically is going to be your toilet paper and your toilet use, because there are some differences in our structure as far as our plumbing goes here and in other countries. So people use these in their porta potties and their toilet systems in the pack sheds. And then this one is probably the third. And so we have these available in small 8.5 by 12s, and then we also do have poster sizes as well. So these are another free resource to producers in Kentucky. If you all need any of these, please come see us at our table. And if you need the poster ones, just come see us. We'll make arrangements to get those to you. So we can stop by the office tonight and pick some up if you all would like to pick them up tomorrow. Just let me know. So technical assistance is a big part of what these gentlemen over here do. They do inspections, but they educate and they provide technical assistance when you all have questions about certain things that are produce safety rule related. So this is just a list of things that they've kind of worked on over the past several years that I've pulled from our data. And so if you have questions about any of these, please feel free to come see us. A lot of producers have many fields that they have individuals out in throughout the day, so hand washing is absolutely essential. We work with those producers on giving them advice on how to build hand washing stations and what's required to be at those hand washing stations in the produce safety rule. One thing that we're working on right now is well water testing requirements and resources when you do get a test back that's E. coli positive. So that is something that we have put all of our resources into the past couple weeks, is locating individuals who are capable of helping you all answer questions about shock chlorination, the process, what happens if I get a positive test result, when do I need to retest. So those are some options that we have coming up as well. Flood guidance was a huge thing this previous year with all the rain we received. In the produce safety rule, there are very specific requirements about produce that's been in a flooded field. And sometimes there's some gray area. So we worked with a couple producers this year to guide them on flooded produce safety. Sanitizer usage in batch water or cleaning your equipment, record keeping. We've talked about that briefly, but we have a lot of questions about record keeping and what's required. And so we actually have templates at the office for record keeping if you all are interested in those. Those are free as well. They are in a binded book, but there's a PDF format on our website available to print. So if you just had one or two different templates that you wanted, that would be a quick, easy way to do that as well. Cleaning and sanitizing overviews, and then basic and qualified exemption application assistance. These are all things that our team can help you all with. So as I've briefly said earlier, we are a regulatory program. Our main focus is doing inspections on produce farms to ensure safety guidelines are being followed. One thing that we like to push is education before regulation, because we feel that you all cannot follow a regulation if you don't understand it and have not been educated on it. So our first goal as a program is to educate you on the produce safety rule, what the requirements are, and help you work through those questions before we see you for an inspection. So we offer on-farm educational visits where we can go through your practices and your operations specifically to identify areas that may need improvement or areas that you may have questions in. The goal of our visit is to open that dialogue for you as a producer to have a safe space to ask questions about things that you may not understand or things that you may, want to tweak a little bit but need assistance to go in the right direction. If we don't have answers for you, we have a catalog of resources that we can rely on, and we can get you in touch with somebody that can help you with those as well. So ultimately, our regulatory goal is to get you all through a successful inspection. Your success is our success. We want you all to succeed. So Ultimately, we would like to ensure a high rate of sustainable compliance. So what that means is things are easy for you all to carry on throughout the year. We don't want to make that difficult for you all. And most of the time, things are being done the correct way. It may just be a little tweak here and there. We aim to help you all reduce your risk in marketing fresh produce. We do not want to see an outbreak. That's the ultimate goal, is to prevent that. We want to help you reduce your risk. So even in the inspection process, like I said, we do want to educate you. And overall, food safety and public health are our top priorities. And together we can reach that goal. So these are the contacts for myself and my team. We also have business cards at our table as well, so that we can get our contact information out to people who are interested in PSA grower training or interested in on-farm readiness reviews or educational visits or technical assistance. So please feel free to stop by and grab those cards and ask us any questions. This is the end of my presentation, but I'm going to open up the floor to questions. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. So it is lifetime. You don't have to take that training ever again. So they'll send you a certificate in the mail. Just make sure you hold on to that. Has anybody taken PBPT for maybe farmers market? This is a great training to take in place of that. PBPT you have to take every year, every other year, I think. PSA grower training is lifetime. It will allow you to do samples at the markets. So keep that in mind as well. Yes, ma'am.
So once you are certified, you will automatically set up appointments to come down and check. Because if you don't have to recertify, doesn't mean that once you get in your system, you'll take in, put maybe a yearly inspection that you call it, say, well, you come down, you have to schedule that.
Okay, I see, sir. So, okay, our inspection schedules are not annual. We actually do a 3-year rotation, so you won't see us every year. But if you have, yes. So if you have any issues in the meantime, you're welcome to call us and we'll walk you through those. But you will only have an inspection from us every 3 years. But yes, we will reach out to you when you're due for those, give you a heads up, see if there's anything that you need prior to that inspection, and then we'll set up a date and time that's convenient for you.
All right, we're gonna go on it. Ooh, okay. We're gonna go on and get started. This is the buyer panel. I am Katie Bowman. I am with the Kentucky Center for Ag and Rural Development. If you've been in any of the other sessions today, you've heard me speak twice today. I'm gonna be moderating this panel. Today we have Anna Haas with What Chefs Want and the Local Food Connection, and then we have Bo Milburn with the Food Connection at the University of Kentucky, and he is the value chain coordinator for Central Kentucky. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do real quick.
Thank you, Katie. Again, my name's Anna, and my official title is Local Food Program Director for What Chefs Want. And it's, you may know this, you may not know this, What Chefs Want is another name for Creation Gardens. Started a business that's gotten much bigger, but started in Kentucky in 1987 and actually started basically as a food hub that was driving around in a little van, picking up microgreens, lettuces, and other things, and driving them to restaurants the next day. And out of that grew a much bigger business that does many more things. So I came into the picture with that company about 6 years ago, but was already doing some food hub work with an independent food hub called Local Food Connection. And I like to think that we're really different from just about any other place in the country, any other company in the country, because of having that background in terms of what our commitment is to working with small and medium-sized farms. I also think, and then I'll pass it to Bo, that Kentucky is unlike no other place in the entire country. And I do get to work in other states for the just high level of where you all are and where all of this already has gone in terms of a food system here and where it can go. So I'm really delighted to talk to you. And I think at some point we're going to have you tell us who you are and what you grow, just so that we can talk to you with a little more knowledge. But I'll pass it over to Bono.
Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. Like Anna said, my name is Bo Milburn. I'm the Central Kentucky Value Chain Coordinator at the UK Food Connection. The Food Connection is UK's applied food systems center on campus. It kind of came into existence about 10 years ago when the university was negotiating its new food service contract with a large food service provider, and to be kind of in alignment with the values of Extension and the College of Agriculture, they made a commitment to source 20% of the food that's served on campus from Kentucky farmers, and they needed a group of people to do that. So the Food Connection was born, and our current executive director, her name is Ashton Potter, and she created a few programs. One of them was the Value Chain Collaborative. So there's an Eastern Kentucky representative. I represent the Central Kentucky region based on UK's extension map, and then there's also a Western Kentucky Value Chain Coordinator. And we try to essentially broadly make lots of relationships with growers and also buyers, and then build bridges where we can kind of connect those folks to create positive on-farm impacts, regardless of the scale, whether you're looking to sell directly to a restaurant or something large scale like a distributor. But if it's okay with you all, I can walk around really quick and maybe stop at each table and hear a little bit about who you all are, and so we can tailor this conversation a little bit to be really relevant, if that's okay.
Yeah. Great.
I know Courtney. Courtney is in our office also. She, so I'm going to skip this table, but here you guys go.
Just me? Oh, God. Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Ian. I am from Louisville, Kentucky, and I am a backyard gardener, I guess I'll consider myself, and a student at KSU.
My name's Kelly Raywalt. I work for Kentucky State University in Louisville. I work with urban growers like Ian and try to do some of the work that Food Connection's doing for the state in Louisville a little bit. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Arnold Katende. I work for Kentucky State as an extension associate for horticulture, focusing mainly on controlled environments. Thank you.
I'm Sharon Mallory, Executive Director of the 2020 Farmers Co-op. We're a national cooperative, small-scale farmers cooperative, and we're scouting Kentucky out.
Thank you so much. Get you to introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hello, me and all my guests at my table. Our name is Alethea Bernard, and I am Senior Research Associate and State Health Equity Specialist working with Kentucky State University with our Community Resource Development team and through our College of Ag.
My name is Warner Hall, and I'm a small gardener from Greensburg, Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Emlyn Brooks. I'm a small farmer here in Kentucky. My husband and I own a farm, Turner Brooks Farm, in Richmond, where we have a cattle production, goats, and some local, we have like grown tomatoes, etc. So.
I need to email you then. Want to go? Want me to skip? Yeah, okay, great.
Joni Nelson, Kentucky State University. I manage the Small Farm Grant.
Hello, my name is Cor Tietz. I'm a Research and Extension Associate for Kentucky State University in urban agriculture and sustainable farming, I guess, as well. So, thanks.
My name is James Andrews. Currently do not farm at all. My family has a background in farming. Come to be educated. I came to this particular seminar because I have a background in being a buyer, just trying to see it from y'all's perspective in this industry. Used to working with raw materials, raw goods. I have a couple of ideas that I want to do long term in my own life, so I'm just here being educated.
I'm Gary Tolliver, representing Andrews Farm. We grow vegetables. I enjoyed everything so far since I've been here.
I'm Greg Andrews with Andrews Farm also. Just trying to pick up on more of Kentucky small farmers. We've been coming up here for probably 25, 30 years, so I'm not sure how long it's been. But we always pick up on something that we can take back so we can spread it out in our community.
I'm Michael Andrews. I'm with Andrews Farm too, and pretty much about the same as the rest of them.
Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Thank you all. To kind of get started on our questions, if I can get the words out, for our panelists, I'm going to ask kind of a couple broad questions, and then as I have more specific ones, I'll kind of tell you who they're for. What product qualities matter most when considering new local suppliers? So consistency, certifications, packaging, story. What are you looking for?
You want to go first? No? Okay. What qualities matter most to when considering suppliers? Is that what you said? I think it really depends on who your target customer is. There are barriers and challenges, I think, at every scale, and those are unique to each scale. So considering who you're targeting, we can help you kind of identify what those challenges could be, but I think it really depends on what you're growing, what capacity you have, what scale you're seeking, and those challenges I think are really unique to each organization.
I would agree. And I am a buyer. So I not only direct the program, but I buy all of the local produce in this whole region for What Chefs Want. I buy probably about $80,000 of produce a week just from local farms. That includes apples, that includes lettuce, that includes everything else. So I'm telling you that number to let you know that I'm a personable person, and I love to talk, and I would take all day long and talk and talk and talk, but I'm going to tell you that I am a busy person too, and so I'll say a couple things on behalf of buyers in general so that I can help you, help us, help you, okay? I'll just try to talk straight through this. I've got slides and different things, but we're just going to be talking. So thinking about this time period, and I'm thinking most of you are doing vegetables, and maybe some of you do season extension, but this is a really important time period with buyers. So number one, with some buyers, this is an important time period to stay away from them. And that's because it's going into the holidays. So if you want to reach out to a retailer, wait till January. Probably would have had to get in touch with them about before Halloween, maybe beginning of November, but they are high into Thanksgiving season. They're high into the winter holiday season to Christmas. So it's great to reach out to them, maybe give them a week back after January starts. And if you're looking to talk to a retailer, that's a good time to start. For others, it's a good time to start if it's a restaurant. Maybe they've got their head in things, but you might start talking about having a conversation again beginning of the year, because you're probably looking at seed catalogs, you're looking at other things. So one of the product qualities, and I'm going to extend that definition a little bit to your farm, is that your farm is ahead of the game. Your farm is growing products that people want, and you're growing it because you know that they want them, not because only that you're good at growing them. So butternut squash, acorn squash, spaghetti squash, we'll sell a little bit of those. I swear those things could feed the world because everybody loves to grow them. And every time somebody asks me, do you want me to grow that for you? I say, please no, I can't. I disappoint probably 30 people a month by saying I can't buy your butternut squash because there's just so much of it and the pricing isn't good on it, okay? So maybe you talk to a restaurant, maybe you talk to a retailer and they say, please, yes, grow me butternut squash. But that's just an example of one of those things where you want to know what people are going to buy. Okay, so best product quality, they want it. Second best quality, product quality is you're being a smart planner, and so you're also really thinking about consistency is something that Katie said. So what I found in doing local food on a smaller scale is that anytime I'd say, hey, I've got some radishes right now, I won't have them next week. I'll probably have them in 2 weeks from then, and then I'll have them for a little while, and then I won't have them. They're like, whoa, I got decision fatigue already. I don't know what to do with that. So if you have a product that you can do either as a cut and come again, where it's out there all the time and you're coming back and you're doing succession planting, or if it's something that, again, it's like radishes or it's broccoli or it's something like that, please try to make sure that you have it. I always say at least 3 weeks. If you can have it 4 weeks in a row or more, that's even better, because people out there who are buyers and don't do this all the time don't necessarily know what the seasonality is. And so it's not like, some do, and they may have a super fine-tuned, oh gosh, the last 2 weeks of June is the perfect time to do this. But for the most part, people are thinking they want to have the same menu for at least a month, maybe even a quarter. So kind of think about those things that you can have and that you can know that you can have, and you can show up with good quality every week, and then plan around that. I could keep going into more of that, but we could also move on, and I can come back.
I have a question that applies to that. So, and this is for you, Anna. How do you manage supply fluctuations with small and mid-sized farms?
Well, that's where it's great to have all of you, right, out there. And so I know some really successful small and medium-sized farmers who, it's not maybe an official cooperative, I'd say a cooperative or a group of farms. Acting together is really one good way. But if you got a neighbor who also grows, or you're doing some different things, be upfront with your buyer. If you're going to provide something from somebody else, you can say, hey, I got a guy down the street or a woman down the street who's growing the same stuff as I am in this category. If I run out, I got a backup. But you got to let them know the name of the farm, and you got to let them know that you're doing that, and explain, I'm doing this for your benefit, so we got a plan B if a hailstorm takes out my crop, etc. So I can be consistent for you. I think that's one of the biggest supply chain things. The other thing is, if you work with a distributor or a food hub, they're also going to work with other farms. So throughout all of this, communication is really key. Because then they can buy from somebody else as they're waiting for yours to come back if something does happen, and that would be a supply chain disruption. I'll give you one more secret, and then I'll pass the microphone, or we can talk more about other things. One of the secrets, so I get emails from some of the biggest groups in the country who are looking to sell our company produce or beef or other things. And what they do is, at a consistent basis, same time, same general time, same day, or days every week, maybe one time, maybe 2 times, not more than that, they send a price list and an availability list. And they might even give a little crystal ball near the bottom that says what's coming up in the next little bit. You make it short, you make it easy. If you can do a chart or something like that, you want it to be numbers, you want it to be readable, but you want to give people a snapshot, let them know the item, the pack size, and we can talk about all that, the price, we can talk about all that, and anything else they need to know really quickly, but then give them a teaser on what's going away and what's coming in so they know what is happening in the next little weeks. So one of your secrets with somebody who might take care of the supply chain disruption by buying from multiple farms and making sure their customers have consistency is that you want to be consistent on your end in communicating what you have, what you don't, and what's about to happen.
Perfect. That's great. Boas, questions for you. And this is not as related. What barriers do producers face most often when trying to scale up, and how do you help them solve them?
I think, barriers that we experience in Central Kentucky and also in the other regions are transportation, and that is something that What Chefs Want does a wonderful job helping farmers with. Just an example, I've been collaborating with a local school system, and farming itself, production is a full-time job, and then the expectation that you would get out and manage your sales and then do your distribution as well is at times, I think we see an unrealistic expectation. So transportation, and then I think the understanding of the seasonality and availability. A lot of folks who don't have agricultural experience assume that everything is available all the time. So doing education with folks in the community of eating seasonally and understanding when those items are available and when we are all kind of going without.
Perfect. Yeah, please.
So thinking about what Bo just said of sometimes needing to educate people who don't farm and don't know seasonality. I was saying a little bit earlier that this is such a good time to be not only doing your planning, but to do your marketing and your pre-selling before the season. I was also saying that consistency is key. So this would be an amazing time for you to set out on a one sheet of paper what you anticipate doing next year, when you think it's going to be available and for how long, et cetera, and already be ready for next year. And when you go in to talk to a buyer now, let them know that you have the chance. Maybe bring a seed catalog or two, because you might really catch their attention. They love looking through things that mark or highlight or put a post-it on the things you can grow. Don't show them the things that you can't grow or don't want to grow. But go ahead and if you catch somebody, be ready to help them dream for a little while. I love looking at seed catalogs and dreaming about what I can buy next season. And they may go ahead and give you an order that you can grow for now. Mm-hmm. I would not give them old pricing. I'd go ahead and anticipate what you want to do. And even if you're going, I'm just going to add $1 a box to this, that a lot of times that's what I'm doing. I'm going, okay, just in case I don't know what's going to happen, I'm just going to slap an extra $1 on there, and maybe I don't need to. The other thing that I would do is, particularly if you're a smaller farm or a medium-sized farm that needs to price accordingly for your labor, and because you are doing this product with your hands and on a small scale, I would do price per pound. So I would not, it's sticker shock when even if I know that a 50-pound box of carrots that costs $100 only means that it's $2 a pound, it's sticker shock. I don't want to see $100, I want to see $2, right? And then next to it, it can say 50 pounds, but make me do that math, don't scare me, okay? That's one of the biggest secrets. You could also think about having a 50-pound box, but also a 10-pound box, and maybe make that $2.25 a pound. Because that way, if they don't need 50 pounds and they only need 10 pounds, they're going, I can walk away with a $22.50, what did I say, $2.50, $2.25? Yeah, $22.50 box here, and they've won, right? And you've won because maybe you wouldn't have gotten that sale had you not offered that. So maybe give large, small, price per pound, etc. And start maybe too high. That's why I'm saying don't give them old pricing. Start maybe a little bit too high because you can always back down. But it's really hard to go up after you've priced somebody.
Perfect. You answered my next question, so that's even better. What makes a local product worth the price?
Great.
So thinking of pricing, talking about pricing, what makes it worth it as far as purchasing from a distributor side of things, and even from a value chain, from a sales side of things? How do you kind of work with farmers and saying this is worth it, from working to convince them to ask for that price?
Sure, I can go first. I kind of see several different umbrellas here. Local community economics. I think when you're purchasing local products, the money stays in our communities. Then, you know, our individual health. I think generally when you're investing in small producers, they have more regenerative practices, so they are growing in a more responsible kind of regenerative way to improve soil health, which is beneficial. It requires less transportation to get to you, so there's the positive environmental impact in that way as well. All around blanket, I think there's just greater value in the product because you're investing in your community.
Agree, again. And now we're going to take that and help you make the person that you're selling to be willing to pay more for it, right? And that's that if you are selling to them for more than they're buying elsewhere, they're going to have to charge more money for it. So their people on the other end are also going to have to know why they're paying more money, right? And that's, I mean, I can tell you, I told you about $2 a pound carrots. That's may sound cheap to you, but usually carrots are like 50 cents a pound, right? So it's already 4 times, but we can convince people to buy local carrots, even if you have them at $3 a pound, to them by, number one, making sure that you have material about your farm, making sure that you not only have it to show them, but you can leave it behind and help them know, think about, you know, those things that you can buy at Staples that are in a stand-up stand, right? That's just it's a normal sheet of paper. You don't need to bring them one of those, but you need to bring them something to start with that could stand up in one of those stands. So if they wanted to have that somewhere with who they're buying from, help them say it's perfectly sized for a stand-up stand, right? Because you, dear chef, dear buyer, whoever it is, you need to be able to let your customers know the value that they're receiving this product. So also, maybe it's in your price sheet or your, what did you call it? I liked that, a tag sheet. Maybe it's in your sheet, maybe it's a second page to your sheet, but you need to come up with all of the reasons that you are worth that price and not just know that among us, but make sure that they're hearing it on a basis too. I would highly suggest, I've used this for years, sure, this salad mix costs $7 a pound, and the one that you get from a distributor normally that's not local costs $2 a pound. But you know what? That one that costs $2 a pound, you're going to be throwing out half of it tomorrow. And here I am. I can tell you I keep my lettuce in the fridge for 3 weeks. So you've already made up that difference. In fact, it's cheaper overall. So, you know, think about the things that your friends and family and farmers market or CSA are telling you about your products. Man, that lasts so long. That's got a thicker wall on those green peppers than anything I've ever tasted. The flavor is amazing, so I don't even have to use as much of it, you might tell the chef. That green pepper actually tastes like a green pepper, so they don't have to put tons of it in. All of those things are you need to kind of use your friends, use your family, think about that, but help your audience also know the same things that Bo just said about your products in particular, and then help them be able to market to their folks why their stew, their burger, whatever it is, might cost a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any, being a local farmer, are there any permits or certifications or something that sets you aside what you're doing, how you're producing it, that you can add to that list of things you're advertising?
So there's, are you okay if I start? Okay. So there's two schools of thought on certifications. Number one is it's not worth the money because you have to pay more money on it because they have to come out and certify for you. Other people feel like, well, that's the only way that I can, right, and have that seal. I don't know. I don't know where I fall on those. I can see both tactics. I can tell you that one thing, this is just, you may not need or want to go here either, but I can tell you that there's free money in Kentucky if you talk to me to get certified in regenerative practices. And whether or not you would agree or whether or not everybody would agree, that's a big buzzword right now. And that's how to rebuild your soil so that your product actually has higher nutrition in it. And that certification body will help you do the testing, and they're covering the fees for it for 3 years. So there's, so that's a pretty cool thing. Again, I'll tell you more in person if you're interested, but that's one of those things where it's like, I have this certification right now, and we've done the nutrient density testing. I am certified to hold more nutrients in my products. That's a good one. There's folks who really believe in the organic certification, and I do in many ways. There's others that believe in, there's Real Organic Project is another one. There's been a certified naturally grown one too. So some of those that also say I don't put pesticides, I don't put herbicides, I use certain practices on my plants can add that. For proteins, there's animal welfare ones. And again, you can either get a certification or you can talk the talk and tell them on your sheet about yourself the practices that you use. My animals do this, my animals do that. This is what it's like to be an animal on my farm. So certifications, non-certifications, but yes, let them know what's behind that.
All right. What should producers have ready before they approach you, Anna? Before they come to you?
Yeah. So
what should producers have ready before they approach you?
So this is going to make me sound like I think I'm more important than I am. Okay, so I'm not thinking that. However, I told you I was a busy person, and I already got some farms that I buy a lot from. So what I would ask people to do is use my friends who are also your friends. So your friends are the value chain coordinators here, whether it's at KYSU, whether it's at UK, whether it's for the state, et cetera. So a value chain coordinator is basically a farm helper to get into markets. And I've mostly talked to all of them to let them know what I would need. And a lot of them can do some coaching. And then they're going to approach me and say, I got a winner for you, right? So you're not necessarily cold calling me. It's kind of like you want to get a job and you're saying, who knows this friend? What are they most looking for? So I'm suggesting to get us to listen instantly, you get to know us a little bit behind the scenes first. And I trust these folks, again, because I've worked with them for years, and I know that. We do, I would say don't think of working with us as one of your first steps. And I'm going to take a second and tell you the steps I usually see people take. So first, I usually see people take the step of selling to your family and friends, or getting to know a product yourselves. So that helps you know what you can do well. That helps you get your test market. Then I see people doing a farmer's market or something like that, maybe a CSA, and that helps you get to the general public a little bit and get some more feedback. So you're still getting ready, you're still kind of honing it in, what you do best. The third one is before you even start selling to us, you'd sell to somebody like Locals, well, actually, not even Locals yet, but you'd sell to one of those, to a restaurant, a local school, right? You get to do what you need to do, what you know that you can do, but get their feedback. And at that point, that's where working with a food hub or with us starts to make sense, because you've kind of gotten that skill down, you know what it is, and you've got that confidence to walk in and say, not only did I do it with all of these folks along the way, but I'm ready to do it on a larger scale. I say that too because we're going to need some food safety certifications, and you want to make sure that you have plenty of markets and you're doing a good sale there, but you know that you want to grow at that point. I'll let you. Is that okay?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like Anna said, I would just encourage you to connect with folks who exist in Kentucky and these really robust resources. Value chain coordinators are helpful, but also Extension has a lot of resources that can help you find opportunities that are right-sized for your scale and the lifestyle that you're trying to achieve. More is not necessarily always better, depending on what your limiting factors are, if that makes sense.
I'd also encourage, I was just at something last week at the National Ag Marketing Conference that was small farm business planning. And it doesn't need to be, it could be on a sheet of paper with a pencil. But we have friends here who know how to do it and who know how to help farms do some business planning. If you don't know yet, if you don't know yet, and I'll just name K-Card. Do you guys do it at KYSU too a little bit? Okay. So this is your business planning friend. But maybe I shouldn't say you could start off on the back of an envelope with a pencil. She might get mad at me. But
No, you can.
But okay, you can.
Just don't send it to me.
Right.
Just
But you
type it up
gotta
first.
know, unless it's a labor of love and you're gonna do it at all costs, you gotta know if you're actually in the red or in the black a little bit, right? Especially if you want to get bigger. So I'd have done some amount of, it took me this many hours, or I actually paid somebody. Did I sell enough of it? I had somebody say that her sweet potatoes didn't pay the rent. So she could not sell sweet potatoes for the amount of time that they took up that space. She should not have used that row to grow sweet potatoes. They did not pay the rent because she didn't get enough out of it, and they took too long. Okay, so those are the things you want to each season be like, didn't pay the rent. This one did. This is a good crop for me, right?
Okay, last question. This is the biggie. Oh, go ahead.
Let me ask this question. Thank you for giving what I consider to be like entry levels and things. But if a small scale farmer wants to sell to the food hub here in Kentucky, is it about volume? Is it about consistency or quality? Probably all of the
Yes.
above, but I think I'm keying in on the volume because a lot of times small scale farmers want to go from 0 to 100 as opposed to doing the friends and family. Hey, what does this look like? What does it taste like? Okay, great. And now I'm going to go to the farmer's market. They want to go from I'm going to sell to the food hub.
Yep, sure. So if you want to do that, you're going to need to teach yourself quickly a few things. And I think one of the best things that you can do if it's in season is to go to a produce auction and stand there with your notebook and take notes. So how are they packing the green peppers? Right? They're going to be, and I'll tell you an example. What you'd be looking for is, oh gosh, that's a wax bushel box. I want to make sure that I can market my peppers in a wax bushel box. Oh wow, there's a spec here that's called a chopper, and there's a spec here that's called a jumbo or an extra large. There's one that's a large. So you you can actually then look at that. So see what you observe. They'll talk to you too. Say, maybe someday I want to sell to this too. If you need to find out some information, because maybe that'll help. Can you tell me a little bit about the specs? And that's the term you want to use. You want to learn about the specs on something. You want to learn the pack size. You want to learn the specs, and you want to learn what the going rate usually is too. And a lot of times the food hub can teach that, but they'll be super impressed, even if you don't have much volume. Because I wouldn't plant things and say if I plant it they will come. I'd start and do a pilot on different things each year. So maybe you do 10 things and you do small to medium size amount of it, but you do it really well. You make sure you take your time getting it to look like what they'll probably anticipate seeing or what a distributor would like to see, and then you've got that. So I'd put, believe it or not, at first I'd put volume last. I would put quality, consistency, and matching spec. I don't remember if I said this yet, but once you get home from the produce auction and you've observed or you've seen a list of what they have, then you type up spec #1 green bell pepper. And the USDA is going to tell you all this. It's kind of mumbo jumbo, but it's also kind of not. A jumbo pepper shall be, I'm making this up, 4 inches, or it should have nice lobes. A chopper pepper can be whatever. That's a #2, and they call them choppers. And both of those go in bushel boxes, and you're going to sell the choppers for less. So that's grading, specs, pack. There's wholesale manuals that are out there. I think you guys use one. You probably have one. You probably have some too. And then you do your self-learning. Skip the rest of it, but don't skip the learning behind it.
All right. What is your biggest piece of advice for farmers who want to get into wholesale or even just selling beyond the farmer's market?
I would encourage everybody to differentiate their product. I think that competition can sometimes be crushing when you have apples to apples to apples. It's just a race to who can produce them the least expensive way. But if you can create a narrative behind your product, if you can grow something that is more specialty if you're growing at a small scale so that you don't have the same wide open competition. I met with a grower last week who's raising and processing ostrich because it is a red meat alternative for folks with alpha-gal, the tick-borne syndrome. So, there's not much competition there. So they were able to access every market that we've approached. But if you're, selling ground beef, there's a lot of competition. But I would encourage you to create a narrative around your product or have something that is more specialty.
And with that narrative, I think of the breed you're using, think of the what tastes best. What are some of your best products and qualities, just as an example. My answer, and I don't ever want you to forget this, is that whenever you are thinking about growing your farm, I want you to walk over and look into a mirror. And I want you to stare into your eyes for a little while. And I want you to think about, who am I at my core, and what do I do best? And what do I not do best? Because you really, 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 really need to know that and be honest with yourself. I have probably worked with more than 500 different producers, or talked with them, or considered working with them. And I've gotten to the point where sometimes I go, oh, that's a statement that I really wonder if that's true, or whether they want to believe that about themselves. I can tell you that I'm a terrible paperwork person. And I'll find myself telling people, I'll take care of that, if you're a terrible paperwork person like myself, you need to find a friend, phone a friend, right? And make sure that they're part of your business, or that they're just being your friend and helping you with that, or they're holding you accountable. So it's, that's basic business, whether it's farm or not. That's basic life of know thyself, be honest with thyself, love thyself for those things that you're good at, and forgive yourself for the things that you're not. But somebody in your life, or some way, that's still got to get done for your business, because that's going to be the biggest barrier to working, I think, with a buyer, and to really scaling up is not running an effective business because you're snowing yourself a bit.
Does anyone else have questions? Yes, sir.
That's based off of need. Yep. So it goes up. It probably went up to over 100,000, and over that even for a little while over the high university seasons and the high school seasons before frost. It goes down, and it'll continue to go down over school breaks and things like that. But What a buyer does is that they've got a computer system that's got algorithms that I look at, you know this, look at last 6 weeks, drop the high, drop the low, and it tells me what I should be buying. And so that $80,000, I spend that real fast, right? Just sending POs, calling people, talking on the phone, and bringing in what I need so the customers are always covered.
The reason why I asked that question is that farmers can rely, use this term loosely when I say rely on, but the expectations of, hey, they're averaging this much money for this one particular product. I mean, I can scale my product up because I've seen what has happened over the last 6 months. I don't want to miss out on that cut of the pie. I want to be ahead of the game, knowing that their pie, their growth is growing. I need to grow with it. When there's a scaling down, I need to scale down with it, or I'm switching to a different product.
So that's one theory. I also had a farmer this morning who said, if I sold 30 acres, I don't want to have planted 60. So I don't know the best thing. I always say do a little bit more, try some new things, go ahead, but don't take too big of a step until you know that you got a bird in the hand.
A lot of times, that's where that business planning and diversification of the markets come in. So a lot of the clients and a lot of Kentucky producers that Anna works with and that Bo we work with on business planning, a lot of them come through us and we do a wholesale market analysis. So I see all of their sales to all of their markets and we go through piece by piece and say, okay, What Chefs Want has consistently bought $1,500 worth of product every month for the last 3 years. It's gone up by a couple $100 here and there. You want to scale up from X amount, from, I don't know, 28,000 birds to 33,000 birds, or 28,000 birds to 33,000 birds. That's possible because your markets support that. So we can go through all of those things. Yeah, the numbers, yeah, we go through the numbers, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sure. Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a scary and risky, right? But to take those leaps. But if you come back and at least do it based on information, then if you made the wrong choice, you got something to blame. That's the it didn't act like it was supposed to. It didn't act like it always does, and that at least feels a lot better than I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we went through that this past year with the LFPA, and so we found ways and new markets for products that had markets and then didn't have markets, and producers that had bucos of things that were sitting and nowhere to go. So thanks to Bo and his group and Anna and their group, they were able to find locations for all these things. And so we just all work. I say we. I am on the outside. They work very hard.
No, we work with you.
Yeah. So, any other questions? Well, thank you, Bo and Anna, for being here. We greatly appreciate it. I don't know if you all are sticking around for a little bit, but give them a round of applause.
Okay. Thank you for your good questions, too. That was really helpful.
got your presentation ready, and microphone works well, so.
And do
Should
I
be
just
good.
speak into that or that?
You can do either or.
They
I
both
think
work?
they both work. Yeah.
Okay.
It's up to you. So,
All right.
Yeah. If you need anything, just let me know. I'll be here at the beginning.
Okay, and whenever I end, I'll invite people to go outside
Yes.
and see the trailer.
Yeah. Sounds perfect.
Thank you.
All right. It should pull up right on time in a few minutes, about 4 minutes. So.
And how do I advance it?
You'll use the clicker here.
That clicker.
You can go forward or back.
Will it
yeah.
pull itself up on the schedule?
Yes, it will pull up at 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Should be good.
Good afternoon. Hello. My name is Andy McDonald, and I'm with Apogee Climate and Energy Transitions located here in Frankfort, Kentucky. I'm also with the Kentucky Solar Energy Society, a nonprofit organization that promotes solar energy in Kentucky. And I will be making a presentation today about a solar and battery powered mobile walk-in cooler. And after the presentation, anyone who's interested in seeing it can step outside with me on the patio. Just outside is the unit I'll be talking about. And you can take a look at it, and we can talk some more about it out there if you wish. A couple years ago, Kentucky State University wanted to develop a portable walk-in cooler that they could take to events. and have as a display and demonstration for farmers and others. And the initial design didn't work well. They used an air conditioner modified with a CoolBot, which I'll describe some more, and mounted it inside the trailer, and they put in some insulation, and they just had it so that it could be plugged into grid power. And it didn't maintain the temperature. It didn't drop the temperature to the cool temperatures that they wanted. And so I was doing some work with KSU at the time, about a year and a half ago, examining their opportunities for using solar energy on the campus, and became aware of this project. And so I started working with the land grant program to renovate the trailer, increase the insulation, and add solar panels and batteries so that it could operate off-grid. And so the end result was they were starting with, I believe it's a 16-foot trailer. We partitioned it to create a 10-foot by 6-foot cool storage room, and then a smaller back rear storage area where you could store tools and the batteries. And the goal was to be able to keep the temperature anywhere above 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So depending upon what vegetable or what products you're storing, there might be a range of temperatures. The cooling was provided by a conventional window air conditioner modulated by a CoolBot Pro. An air conditioner typically will only cool down to 61 degrees because we generally don't want to cool our houses any more than that. A CoolBot is a device that was developed maybe 2 decades ago, which overrides the thermostat in the air conditioner so that it keeps running. And then it operates off of the thermostat in the CoolBot device down to the temperature you want it, as low as 33 degrees potentially. And so you can see in the photo here, the CoolBot's on the lower right-hand corner of the picture. It's a small electronic device, so you can adjust the temperature setting that you want in the room using the CoolBot. And so the CoolBot attaches to the air conditioner and to the thermostat on the air conditioner and overrides the thermostat on the air conditioner. And so my wife and I have a farm on the north side of Frankfurt. We put in a walk-in cooler using a window air conditioner and a CoolBot about 20 years ago, and it worked really well. The CoolBot's really a great device for helping you create a homemade do-it-yourself walk-in cooler that doesn't require the traditional equipment you might get if you bought a commercial walk-in cooler or refrigerator. And so the CoolBot technology was adapted for this purpose, but the other thing that's really important is to have adequate insulation and air sealing in the room that you're cooling. And so this image shows how there was a partition wall that was built to separate the rear part of the trailer, which is where the batteries would be stored. Let's see. I'm going to go back. I think I missed a slide I wanted to mention. Yeah, on this slide I mentioned also the insulation that we used Green Guard extruded polystyrene foam board, which we bought at Lowe's. It's a common foam board insulation. We used 4 inches of foam board on the wall and the floor and 6 inches on the ceiling. And I did some heat load calculations during the design process to estimate what the heat loss would be through the walls and the ceiling to try to get an idea of how much insulation would be adequate for what we were trying to do. And my calculations suggested that this would be adequate. So that would be 4 inches of insulation, of the foam insulation in the walls and the floor, and 6 inches in the ceiling. And the idea was, yes?
I was going to say, on your
It didn't make it difficult. You'll see when we go out to look at it, and this is an image, gives you a bit of a close-up of the floor. It did raise it up above the normal step, so it makes it a little higher to step into the trailer. And we put, Lowe's sells these plastic panels that you can put over, like in a kitchen, you can put them over a wall so that they're easy to wipe down. We put that on the walls, and we put linoleum on the floor, and then we taped the edge with an aluminum tape so that it didn't trip and snag. But I don't think basically we just made the floor a little bit higher than it was before. You can evaluate for yourself whether that makes it more inconvenient. The headroom is shorter. It's 10 inches less high than it used to be, so you have to crouch down a little bit if you're, unless you're a little bit shorter than normal, to get in there. And so if you were to try to do this yourself, you might look for a trailer that has that's a little bit taller, so you have more headroom after you add the insulation. But for the purposes, you're just walking in and out. You're loading things in, getting out. You're not spending a lot of time inside there, I wouldn't expect. And so I don't think it would end up being an issue. So that was the functional part. Was we wanted it to stay cool and be a useful space, and we wanted to be able to power it when we were off grid. And so we put 1,200 watts or 1.2 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof of the trailer, which you can kind of see in this photograph here. And so that was 3 400-watt solar panels wired together. And then we used a type of battery that's called EcoFlow in the cooler. And EcoFlow is one of a variety of batteries that are available today. They're a sort of a plug-and-play, consumer-friendly type of battery that can be integrated with solar panels. The really nice thing that I like about the EcoFlow is that to connect the solar panels to the battery, you just use the standard wire that comes with the solar panel and plug it in. There's no electrical wiring, no screwdriver required. You don't need any type of electrical training at all to be able to plug it in and start operating the unit. The screen on the front of the battery, well, the battery system incorporates an inverter that converts, the battery stores current in its a direct current battery. It needs an inverter to convert that to AC power so that it can operate standard appliances like the air conditioner and the CoolBot. Commonly, more going back into the past, off-grid solar systems using batteries would require a separate inverter, a separate charge controller to moderate the charging of the battery and make sure it doesn't get overcharged, separate devices for surge protection and circuit protection. All of that gets integrated into the EcoFlow unit. And there's no exposed wiring or exposed parts that would be dangerous. You can also charge the battery with the alternator of the vehicle, so you can plug into the cigarette lighter of the vehicle and plug the other end into a port on the EcoFlow battery to charge it with your vehicle. You can plug it into grid power, so if you don't have solar panels or if it's been very cloudy, you can plug the battery into a grid source to charge it up. And the batteries, we put 3 batteries into the unit. There's one battery is like the control battery that has the interface that gives you information about the battery. It has the receptacles you can plug into. And then there's 2 supplemental batteries. You can expand the original EcoFlow by adding 1 or 2 additional batteries. And doing that's very easy. They give you a cable with a special plug, and you just plug them in together. It's very easy. So with the 3 batteries, we have 10.8 kilowatt hours of energy available, that's the total energy. These are lithium-ion batteries. They work better if you don't drain them all the way to zero when you're using them. They work best if you only drain them to 20% of their total capacity. And so I accounted for that. So we have 8.6 kilowatt hours available. And that's assuming there's no solar gain. The EcoFlow also allows you to use the solar energy directly as it's available. And so when the unit's in operation, parked in the field, say you're harvesting your produce, this is parked in the field. If it's sunny at all, the sun's going to be charging the batteries. Once the batteries are charged, the electricity is available to operate the air conditioner CoolBot unit and maintain cooling. If you want to operate other appliances, if you want to operate a fan or a rechargeable tool or an electric lawnmower or a weed eater, anything like that, you can operate with these batteries as well. They have a plug on them, just like a standard plug you can plug into. And it can either operate directly from the sun, if it's sunny, or draw from the battery. So there's a lot of versatility built in to the system in that way. So this here gives you a close-up of what the face of the battery looks like. You have the 4 receptacles you can plug into. You have the button that turns the unit on. The screen in the center, you see there's a 97 in a blue circle. That's the percent state of charge of the batteries. The 14 on the left is the number of hours until it gets to a full charge under the current conditions. On the right, it shows you how much power is coming in from the solar array and how much power is being drawn by the appliances connected. And there's also an app you can put on your phone if you wanted to do that. So the goals of the project that we designed around were to allow at least 2 full days of cooler operation, assuming no solar gain. That's like assuming heavy cloudy weather during the hottest time of the year. And so because it's a cooler, we were designing for the summertime, assuming that's when you'd want to use a cooler most often. And you could, when you're doing an off-grid design, you need to think about how many days without sun do we need to plan for. And here in Kentucky, if it was your home, I would encourage you to plan around 5 consecutive cloudy days when you have no solar gain. That's if you're off-grid. But that requires more batteries, more investment in batteries. So we were, you have to weigh the cost of more batteries versus how often you're going to have to need all that battery capacity. And also in the summertime, you have fewer occurrences of extended days of cloudy weather with no sun. And you also have longer days when even if it's light sun, like a day like today, you're going to collect a little bit of solar energy on a day like today. And if you have 10 hours of cloudy weather, you're going to get more energy than if you have 4 hours, which is what it is in the wintertime. So that's how we planned it. And as I said, the solar energy, when it's coming in, can run the cooler directly or any appliance you're using, and it can recharge the batteries. If it's cloudy, it'll draw from the batteries. Or if it's nighttime, the cooler, if you're storing something there for days and days, you need it to run at night. And so you've got the batteries, and the batteries will drain overnight. So in the design phase, we estimated how much energy we needed each day to operate this for a full day. The estimate I came up with was 4.2 kilowatt hours. That would be the amount of energy required to keep the cooler at 38 degrees on a hot day. That took into account the outdoor temperature, the volume or the mass of produce we would put into the cooler. The largest factor, other than the outdoor air temperature, is the temperature of the produce you're putting into the cooler. So if it's like 90 degrees outside and you're loading it with like heavy tomatoes that are 90 degrees, the cooler is going to have to cool them down too. So something to keep in mind if you're operating a system like this is cool your produce down before you put it into the cooler in order to get better performance from the cooler. So like say it's zucchini or heads of lettuce. If you can dunk them in cold water before you put them in the cooler, get some of the heat off of them, then the cooling unit doesn't have to work so hard to drop the temperature, and the batteries won't get drained as much. I'll talk a little bit more about what we've learned, but before I get to that, on this particular unit, the solar panels and the battery equipment and the installation of them cost $7,600 approximately. So KSU contracted my company and to do the design and install all of this equipment. So that was their cost. The installation materials cost about $2,400. And that's all apart from the trailer itself. The cost of the trailer is not reflected here. KSU purchased the insulation and their staff insulated the trailer. And I installed the batteries and the solar equipment. So this was installed in the summer, this work was done in the summer of 2024. And then it sat over the winter here on the campus. And then this past summer of 2025, there was folks who were farming at a farm about 10 miles from here. They were growing produce for the public school in Frankfurt. And they needed cooling, access to a cooler on the farm. And so we brought the trailer over there, and they used it for about 3 months this summer, from about June through August, I believe. And it was quite hot this summer, and it actually worked very well. The batteries never got drained below 20%. I wasn't monitoring the lowest that the batteries got to, but they never cut off. The batteries are programmed so that if they got to that 20% state of charge, they would turn off to protect the battery, and that didn't happen. So it ended up working very well. The people who were using it really, they just showed up every morning and used it, put produce in, took produce out, and it worked well. The biggest negative lesson we learned was that when we installed the insulation and the plastic paneling, we used an adhesive, something like liquid nails, which ended up having a very bad odor, like a chemical odor. And that odor has not gone away yet. And originally we specified a zero VOC, zero odor adhesive, but it didn't adhere to the plastic paneling and the insulation. And so at the last minute, we went to Lowe's and got some different stuff that worked as an adhesive, but it wasn't good from the odor that it created. So we need to continue airing out the cooler. So for those of you, for anyone who might be considering building something like this, more thought would need to be given to how to air seal the unit and how to protect the foam, what kind of covering to put on the foam. I've had further ideas about how I would do it if I did it again. Yes? That's a possibility. That framing was only for the rear partition, however. For the side walls, we just attach the foam. The trailer, has these metal ribs. They're like 2-inch by 2-inch ribs. That's like the frame of the trailer. And we put a foam in between the ribs, and then we put another 2 inches outside the ribs. We could have screwed into those ribs, and if I did it again, I probably would do that. The more challenging part is how to get the plastic panels or any other type of paneling to stick to the foam, particularly on the ceiling, because gravity's working against you. But I think just screwing up probably would be the best thing in the future. In terms of the EcoFlow battery, it's worked pretty well. It doesn't like, or its temperature range, its operational range is like from 30 degrees up to like 110 or 115 degrees. So I was concerned that being in the trailer in the summer, it might get overheated. And we considered putting in a fan. There are a couple small vent holes, but we did not put in a vent fan. And as it happened, apparently it never did get to excessively high temperatures inside the trailer, inside its storage compartment, because it never shut down due to high temperature. If you were to try to use it through the winter, like if you had some other reason you wanted to use the trailer for electricity in a wintertime location, you would just need to be mindful that if the temperature got well below freezing, the battery might stop working. Or the EcoFlow actually has an internal heater that boosts its temperature. So it would need to be pretty extremely low temperature for that to be an issue. But for using it as a cooler, that's not really a concern, because in the wintertime, it wouldn't matter. That's my contact information there. If you ever wish to reach out, I'd be happy to share more information with you if you ever want to reach out to me. I have the plans. They're not really professionally formatted, but I have the information we used in the construction of the project. I'm speaking with KSU about putting together a nicer quality handout about the project that KSU can share with folks. But I'd be happy to talk with you. Any other questions before we go outside? The price did not include the air conditioner or the CoolBot. The price included, for the solar PV and battery line, that's the rails and the solar panels and the screws to mount it on the roof, the wire to get it inside, and the EcoFlow battery. And for the installation, that included the plastic paneling, the insulation board, the adhesive that we use, some screws, things like that.
Were your 2 extra batteries included in that?
Yeah. And EcoFlow is, commercially available. You can buy that off of different websites. It's really nice for a consumer because it's ready to use when you buy it. You can plug the solar panel right into it. If you want to use it in a more finished setup, like a home, it does take some mounting, some attention to how to mount the panels. You need to be careful about that sort of thing. But it is very easy to use as a battery inverter charge controller unit all built into one. It's part of the EcoFlow unit. Yeah. You can see it when we go out there. Well, why don't we go outside now and you can take a look at it.